speaking out of Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert, that's Stephen Jensen, and shout out as always to Big Dick MLJ for the intro. It is Thursday, January 8th, and we are back after a holiday hiatus. Jensen, how was your holidays?
It was good, man. I can't complain. Took some time off work. Did pretty good on the sports picks and stuff for the most part. Had some downtime. Some down days, some up days. But it was a fun holiday season for the most part. I really can't complain. It wasn't super eventful though. Just kind of hung out with family, hung out with friends, that kind of stuff. Watched a bunch of sports. So that's been fun. How about you, man?
It was good. Christmas was really good, and the New Year's been a little bit rough, as people know. Everyone's sick in my household, so it's been a rough few weeks, honestly, at this point. But we're getting through it. Everyone's kind of on the mend and getting a little bit better now. So hopefully everyone continues on the upward trajectory and gets healthy, because it was the wife, when she gets sick, when she goes down, we're all screwed. She holds everything together. We can't function without her. So when she gets sick, like, it's just game over for the household. But she's feeling better. That's the biggest thing. As long as she's up and moving well, then we're all taken care of. Because if I gotta take care of it, it doesn't go well when I gotta take care of everybody. I'm like, what do you want, pizza? All right, just eat pizza. I don't care. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds like what my style would be like if I was a parent. Like, I'd be like just trying to hold it down until the person who know what was actually going on, like, be able to do it. Yeah, I know she rules. I know you guys. You're telling me before the show that you guys have been dealing with that a little bit over the holiday season. I know a lot of people getting sick over the holiday season, so I hope everyone's doing all right, feeling all right. I came back to work on Monday. Well, I guess technically I went back to work on Friday because that was the second. I didn't have anyway. Regardless, I'm still getting back in the swing of things at my job, but I can't complain. It is what it is, and I'm just kind of drained at the moment because I just finished my shoot job. But I'm excited to talk about pro wrestling because there's like a ton of stuff that has happened since we done the show last. It's been like, I think that's 3 weeks. And I had like lists of other stuff that I was kind of just keeping tabs on. And I was like, if I send all this, Jeremy's going to be like, dude, we're not doing a 3-hour show. But I do have backup topics if we need them, because there's just been, and we're definitely going to miss stuff as well. So anyone who's here in the chat, we appreciate y'all as always. If you want to, get your questions answered and put your statements on the screen and all that stuff, super chats are appreciated. But if you send anything, any kind of comment, we'll keep an eye on it, and let us know what you think throughout the show, especially, if there's any topics in particular over the last few weeks that we either miss or, you want to elaborate on, because there's just been just a ton of stuff. I think the last time we talked was like Cena's retirement, pretty much. Like, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. It's been 2 weeks because we missed Christmas and we missed New Year's Day. So it's been 2 weeks. Crazy. So I don't even know where you want to start, man. But and also I don't know if you want to talk a little football before we get into this. I know we won't talk too long about that because people want to hear us talk about wrestling. But congratulations to your Carolina Panthers on being in the playoffs. Like, that's awesome, dude. Like, what regard? Just getting in. I know the NFC South is ass. Like, I get it, but nonetheless, they made the playoffs. And Bryce Young, who I was saying in the offseason going into this year, like, against a lot of people saying like he wasn't that good. The verdict's still out on like how good he actually is, but he's playing well enough that, like,
I think it's promising for guys like JJ McCarthy and stuff, like where you see a guy like Bryce who, gets benched and then bounces back, and like the team doesn't give up on him, and like he doesn't give up on himself, and like he plays pretty good for most of the year. He's still very young and he's still learning out there. He's got young receivers that are very talented. He's got good running backs, like actually great running backs duo. So like, yeah, man, congratulations. I'm glad. It's going to be rough against the Rams, but I'm pulling for you guys. You guys are the team that I'm hoping actually, like, you're my playoff team this playoff season. So
like, I don't have high expectations. We beat the Rams earlier this year in Carolina, so it's not like we can't beat them. I expect they'll play much better. I don't think Stafford's going to turn the ball over 3 times like he did in that game or anything, but there has to be some confidence in that. Like, we know we can beat this team. We have done it. You could say they backed into the playoffs because they technically did. The Falcons win got them into the playoffs, but like, we're in the playoffs. It definitely was unexpected. Even if they finished 8-9 and like didn't make the playoffs, like that's still improvement. That's still a 3-win improvement from last season. So, and that's what you want to see. We went from a 2-win team to a 5-win team to an 8-win team. Like, there was a lot of inconsistencies this season from the coaching staff, from the performance, from Bryce, and that's why it was 8-9. Like, it could have been a much better record had they beaten the Saints in games that they should have won and everything. But you're in the playoffs. You can't win a Super Bowl unless you at least make the playoffs. So we got a shot out here. Cam Newton's coming back to pound the drum on Saturday as well.
Oh,
that's
cool.
going to be a big moment. So yeah, it'll be good. I fully expect them to get raced. If it happens, it happens. But they're actually taking upward steps, which is more than you can say after these last few seasons. I mean, last decade almost, where they had the worst winning percentage in the league since Tepper took over in like 2018 or 19. So Josh gives us a super chat. Appreciate you, Josh. Says Panthers are getting 11 points at home. I like it. Yeah, 11's a lot.
I like it too. I think a lot of people are going to like that. I think people, I'm not going to give anyone advice, but that sounds very appealing, and that could change, before the game happens. So get in now if you like that.
Yeah, people are already. It opened, I think, at 10, so it's already jumped to 11. So people are heavily going on the Rams right now, which I don't fully blame people. That's a lot of points in a playoff game. On top of that, like it could very well be a blowout. It could be the Rams put them away early, and it's just not a very competitive game, and everyone's like, "Oh, see, the NFC South sucks, LOL." But that 10 points, like it's a playoff game. 11 points, it's a playoff game. It's at home. The Panthers do have a victory over the Rams. Like, it's not out of the world to think they can at least cover an 11-point spread. That's just a lot of points.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, like, just, I would be, I know you sound like you're excited as well, even though it doesn't sound like you have you had very low expectations going into the year. So like, if I was in your position, or if I was just a Panthers fan in general, I would be stoked right now, because like I said before, with your core of talent being mainly like young people that y'all have drafted, like, it's different than like the Viking situation, for instance, where like we have the team ready, but like the quarterback is like the biggest question, and the head coach's play calling was like another big question. And in our division, the Vikings finished 9-8 this season, but we were eliminated from playoff contention halfway through the season. I mean, like in the NFC North, like it's just crazy. Like, all the teams have gotten so good, and we have to play each other, obviously, 2 times each team. So it's very difficult in our division to even get in at this point. But what's great about, like I said, with you guys is like you have a lot to build on. So like, hopefully you guys make a big run this playoff season. I totally think you guys can beat the Rams. I think it's totally possible. I know you said it happened earlier this year. That's, why couldn't it happen again? You know what I mean? Obviously the Rams have a lot more experience, and like they've won the Super Bowl with like McVay, and like, I get it, but like, any team can get hot at the right time too.
Yeah, it's tough to beat a team twice in one season. and they'll obviously be well prepared for it. Everything, like, they're a better team. They had a better record. They're a better team. They were in a tough division as well. Like, I mean, the Seahawks were the number 1 seed in the NFC overall. The 49ers could have been the number 1 seed. So, they were another division that they had 3 teams make the playoffs, just like the NFC North with the Packers, the Bears, and who am I missing? The NFC North.
The Lions didn't make it.
Oh, the Lions didn't make it. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So just the Bears and the Packers.
Yeah.
But that's, once again, how competitive the division is. The Lions couldn't even make the playoffs this season after the year they had last year. Or us, after we won 14 games last year and they won 15 or whatever it was. Like, I mean, it was...
Yeah.
It's crazy.
The NFC West had 3 teams in there. And the Rams are obviously a very good team. No, I don't have really any expectations. Like, they're kind of playing with house money. Like, no one expected them to be in the playoffs. No one expected them to be here. If they lose and they get beat, it's like, okay, well, they were an 8-win team who shouldn't have been here in the first place. That's in line with what we thought was going to happen. But again, if you told me to start the year, hey, the Panthers are going to win 8 games, I'd be like, okay, sweet. That's a 3-win improvement. And I don't think like the roster overall is like great. Like, there's still. This draft class has been really good, but their previous draft class has not been very good. So I don't think like it's a great roster. It's good. It's relatively young. There's definitely room to grow and everything. So all you want to see is just improvement, right? And that's what we've seen.
Yeah, I'd be stoked if I were a fan of y'all's. And like I said, I hope that they go all the way. I think it'd be awesome if they somehow won the Super Bowl. That'd be sick.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
But I mean, just you never know, dude. You're at least in the playoffs. And then also the other big thing in the NFL, which we don't have to talk about too long, it's just fascinating, is all the head coaches getting fired. I mean, it's like I've never seen something like this before, where 25% of I think Schefter tweeted today, 25% of the league doesn't have a head coach right now, or is making like coaching changes. And 2 teams, at least at this point, also need GMs. I know the Dolphins need both a GM and a head coach. McDaniel's getting fired today. Pretty, not completely unexpected, but like, I thought at this point he was going to make it to the next season because, like, I figured if they were going to fire him, they would have already and just like let him get one more season in. But then, like, I think the big thing is, John Harbaugh becoming available. That changes everything because he's going to have first choice of wherever he goes. Everyone's going to want him, so he's just going to be him. Everyone's going to have to wait to see what he decides, and then the chips are going to fall, everywhere after that. Then, of course, I'm blanking on his name. The guy from
Kevin Stefanski.
Kevin Stefanski. After he was with Minnesota forever. Kevin Stefanski, who been the head coach of the Browns the last handful of years. He'll be a big candidate too. There's a lot of big candidates out there. I don't think McDaniel will be a head coach though, at least again for a while. I think he'll be an offensive coordinator somewhere. I think the Lions are already like talking about interviewing him, but you got a lot of people in the mix. So if you're an NFL fan, this is I've never seen something like this before. Like I said, where this many, not only vacancies are open, but like so many actual, like a lot of head coaches, like big names, like are in the market right now also. So like, it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, John Harbaugh leaving kind of changes everything because Harbaugh is, how often does a top name like that become available? Like usually if a coach gets fired, it's because they had a bad season and they've had like multiple bad seasons. Harbaugh has made the playoffs just about every year he's been there, so he's definitely he's a guy who's won a Super Bowl. I believe he's won a Super Bowl.
He did. Well. Yeah, he absolutely did. And not only that, like to your point though, like, and they only didn't make the playoffs this season because of one missed field goal at the end of their last game. That's the difference of them being in the playoffs, and he's probably not even fired or whatever they want to call it if they make the playoffs.
Maybe I was listening to Dan Patrick's show, and they had on a Baltimore insider reporter who said, the vibes around the team weren't great, and even if they made the playoffs, like there was a real possibility that he could have been fired. Now, if you go to the AFC Championship game, if you go to the Super Bowl, if you win the Super Bowl, are you going to fire him? Probably not. But had they made the playoffs, lost in the first round, it seemed like it could have been a possibility that he was still gone. Mike Tomlin's another guy who, like, if Pittsburgh loses in the first round, like, is he gonna be gone from Pittsburgh? Like, if he becomes available, like, that's another. I know people are kind of like down. At least Pittsburgh fans are like down on Tomlin because it's just been kind of years of mediocrity, but and no playoff wins and everything. But like, how many
won a Super Bowl like 20 seasons ago? But like, yeah.
Like, how many franchises would kill to have like this kind of consistency and be like, oh, you're telling me we're gonna win like 11 to 9 games every season and get into the playoffs like every season? Yeah, I'll sign up for that. Like, okay, maybe we don't win a Super Bowl, but like I was saying, like, we can't win a Super Bowl if we don't get into the playoffs. And if you're like the Jets, like, we haven't been to the playoffs in how long? If you're the Cardinals, I think they went a few years ago with Kyler and everything. If you're the Titans, like, you know, like, you're telling me you wouldn't want a guy like that to help stabilize things for your franchise?
Yeah. Sorry, I just got a I got a DM right at the tail end of that. It's actually pertains to you. I wanted to.
Was it from my wife?
Yes, she's saying you're massively underselling your contributions. So.
Oh, to the household. She likes to actually give me credit, and I don't like taking any of it. Again, she holds everything together. I'm just like, okay, please, let's just survive here until you get better. That's it. Now, I could have done a whole lot more.
But I agree with you though about Tomlin and the consistency and everything. I think that like in Pittsburgh especially, it's going to be interesting because I think Tomlin, whether or not he stays, is also going to be kind of depending on if how far they go in the playoffs and if Rodgers wants to come back another year also, like, you know, because that's going to change things too potentially. My bold prediction right now is that Aaron Rodgers very well could be the Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback next season. Like, they just delayed what would have happened this past year, and they might just try it next year if he's available. I want them to keep going with JJ McCarthy. That's a whole other conversation in itself. I still believe in JJ, but Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the GM and the head coach, both of their jobs are going to be on the line this season. Like, if they don't win like at least a playoff game, I think that they could both potentially get canned, honestly. So they're going to have to like either tie their future and their whole fate in the hands of JJ McCarthy, or if like Aaron Rodgers becomes available or somehow Joe Burrow actually becomes available or something like that happens, I think they're going to heavily this past offseason, they passed on Darnold and Daniel Jones and Aaron Rodgers. This offseason, if the same kind of options were available, I think they like, you know, if they could do it again, I think they would have, you know, there's no harm in McCarthy sitting on the bench for a couple seasons if, like, you know, we had the right quarterback in there. Like, to go from 14 wins last season to 8 this season was definitely a big disappointment for me and the fan base. So, you know, it is what it is.
All right, let's finally jump.
Let's talk wrestling. Let's talk wrestling, everybody.
Oh, actually, Cyclops better than Wolverine. Did send a super chat. Says we wanted John fired 5 years ago. We hate that.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Again, if that's how the Baltimore fan base feels, like, I get it. But if I'm another team and look, Harbaugh was there for like 18 years. Like, I do think messages wear thin after that long, especially like if you're not a dynasty and you're not winning, if you're not Belichick and winning every single year, it's like, okay, yeah, it can wear a little thin off of that. But again, if you're one of these other franchises who's made the playoffs like once in 10 years or something like that, and you're always at the bottom of the league, like, why wouldn't you look at Harbaugh and be like, yeah, this is a guy we want to stabilize things around here? Because his message might not have been what it needed to be in Baltimore after 18 years, but he goes to, I'll just throw the Titans out there. I know they just hired a coach last year, but he goes to the
Miami
Titans.
Is the
Miami would be
talking about right now. Yeah,
but he goes to Miami, and it's like, oh yeah, this message actually really works here because we haven't heard it for 18 straight years.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I'm with you. Crazy offseason for NFL fans. I love it. It makes it fun.
We're gonna jump into the other spotlight first.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
Shame I use a Billy Corgan bumper for this topic. But Hiroshi Tanahashi, one of the greatest of all time, arguably the greatest of all time in New Japan, officially retired on January 4th, having his final match against Kazuchika Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 20. He lost the match. Afterwards, big celebration of Tanahashi's career. We had Kenny Omega, Jay White, Kota Ibushi, Katsuyori Shibata, Tetsuya Naito, Fujinami, Great Muta. I blanked for a second on that. Will Ospreay. We're all there to celebrate. Then he played air guitar. He rode around on a float effectively to wave goodbyes to the crowd. But I thought it was a great ceremony. It's might be my favorite match of all time. Like no jokes. I don't know.
Okada versus Tanahashi, that actual match, really?
Yes,
wow.
Yeah, I have my joke matches. I love the Doomsday Cage match and all of that stuff. I love the comedy, over the top, nonsensical matches. But this match, watching it at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever time it actually aired, I've always been a big Tanahashi fan. He's always been the ultimate baby face. He's just so good at selling, emoting, just making you, getting you to buy in, just captivating people. And Okada was really in his element, being back in the Tokyo Dome, being dickhead Okada. It's not only a good, strong, technical match. They didn't really screw anything up or anything like that. It's also just the story and everything behind it. And it's a match that you obviously can't recreate because there's never going to be another Hiroshi Tanahashi. And there's not going to be another Tanahashi. When are you going to get an opportunity to have him face a rival like Okada? And this is legitimately a once in a generation kind of match timeline here that all came together, and I thought it was perfect. What were your thoughts?
I mean, I'm surprised that you're willing to put it on the level or possibly above the Doomsday Cage match after all these years of us discussing how that is your GOAT match. Yeah, I mean, it was obviously the match I thought was very good, obviously. I thought it was great, and perfect finish, and Okada, the way that he won, and with the Rainmaker, everything was just kind of perfect. So I agree that it was. And the other thing is Tanahashi, like you were saying, the match itself was great, and on top of that, the cherry on top is that Tanahashi didn't go out before he couldn't. And before he declined physically to the point where you couldn't, he was hitting high fly flows from the top rope to the outside. You know what I mean? He's still doing that. I know he's had the knee problems and he moves around a bit slower nowadays and stuff like that.
But the point, rough the day after.
But he knew it was his last one, and he he went out and he had a great. I mean, it was one of the. If you combine the match itself with the ceremony and them parading him around Rudy afterwards, I think that that all together, it's gonna be really hard I'm gonna be honest, for any retirement match to beat. And you were there live, so you know better than me. That Sting retirement match, that's gonna be the standard for.
So the Sting's retirement match would legitimately be my favorite match of all time, on the level of Tanahashi and Okada, where I'm kind of where I'm weird about things, and I fully recognize this is a thing in me, is I have a tough time considering it a wrestling match because I was there live and it was an experience for me. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that. There's been matches that I've seen live at big shows that I either haven't even rewatched or have watched years later, and it was a totally different. I totally know what you're saying. That makes sense.
Yeah. To me, it was obviously a wrestling match. It was a excellent wrestling match, and like the emotion that I felt during the match was very real and everything. But because like being there live, like I was so like in the moment with everything that like it didn't feel like a wrestling match. Now I'm sure if I watched it on television, I would probably be like, yes, this is my favorite match of all time because of similar reasons to Okada and Tanahashi. But yeah, being there live, I'm like, this just felt like almost like a concert experience or a sporting event where I just watched my favorite team win a championship type of thing. And it's like, you can't really say like, oh, this was a great game, because maybe it wasn't a great game, but at the end, like you were there for every moment, and your guy won in the end. That's what really mattered to you.
Yeah, for sure. And you also had to, protect the action figure that you purchased for me throughout the night as well, which I very much appreciate, which is very prominently displayed in my collection. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. Because there's even been, on like even a smaller level, like there's been matches like when I've seen like GCW shows in Center Stage, for instance, where like I remember like the vibe and the experience. I remember the match, of course, too, but like there's certain stuff where like I know what you mean. Like it is a totally different experience being there live versus the way that you watch it on TV sometimes. And that said, I do still think that this is gonna, I mean, if there was like a rate, not that you even need to rate this kind of stuff, but if there was a ranking system or tier list or whatever of best wrestling retirements, and I put Sting at the very top, if somebody wanted to argue Tanahashi, like I wouldn't like fight them over that. You know what I mean? Like I think that it makes sense. Like I especially to give him like an hour-long ceremony afterwards. Like, and that's the kind of thing too, where like I have my issues with the way John Cena went out. I don't like the smile and tap out finish, and we can debate that or like, talk about that to the end of time. Like I think that, it's just my personal opinion on that. I know some people like it, some people don't. But I didn't like that, and I didn't like the retirement run for the most part. I know a lot of people would agree with that at the very least. But on top of that, like, sorry, and I'm losing my train of thought. Now I'm thinking about the Cena retirement and how bad it was. What was I about to say? I just totally lost my train of thought. Sorry, everybody. Now all I can think about is John Cena smiling and tapping out to Gunther. What were we just talking about? The retirement matches. Tanahashi's retirement. There was another retirement I was going to compare it to, and now I can't. Oh, sorry. Where I was going with that is Goldberg also. His retirement, like I didn't like the way that he retired. Like I didn't mind the retirement itself, but like he got cut. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because I was trying to circle around to this whole point. You had Tanahashi getting like an hour-long retirement ceremony. Bill Goldberg, for instance, gets cut off before he even does his speech. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, even if I love Bill Goldberg, which I do, and I think his match with Gunther was actually very good. Like, it was a long Goldberg match, which I wasn't expecting. I thought he did pretty well, especially considering his age and his like limitations and stuff. I thought he did pretty damn good. But it's going to be hard for me to ever like really rank that as like a great retirement, because even like right when the match ends, Goldberg's just starting to cook on the microphone and like get the fans behind him, and the feed just cuts out. It's like, and like he was pissed about it. Like he went public about how much he didn't like how that went down.
Still waiting for him to give the full story on that.
Yeah, exactly. Because it sounded at the time like he was not done and he was going to make some sort of announcement. Yeah, and I don't know. But anyway, my whole point was Tanahashi. They did it right with him. Like, it was very cool. It's a bummer. I know a lot of people talked about, Nakamura not being able to be there. I think that's super lame. I don't know what actually prevented him from going. Obviously, he's made it clear that he wanted to be there. And of course, Takeshita wore the armband as a shout out to him. But yeah, they really couldn't have done this any better. And also, it's totally fine for you to lose on your way out. Like that's obviously happened a lot throughout wrestling history, people losing their last match. John Cena losing his last match and Bill Goldberg losing his last match isn't necessarily the problem I have with those scenarios. But, Tanahashi losing this match, like totally fine. And it was to the right person who has a ton of history with. And also on top of that, after Yota Tsuji defeated Takeshita for the IWGP championship, you also knew that like AEW wasn't about to lose both those matches also. I mean, like, let's just keep it real. Like, Okada was winning either way, but obviously Tanahashi is the man. And I honestly can't remember an era. I don't follow New Japan closely anymore. And, I was very, very into it for a stretch of time. And I can't remember any period where Tanahashi was anything but the white meat babyface, basically like the John Cena of New Japan. So good for him. That's a hell of a run. And the cool thing too is like he's not gonna just like disappear. He still essentially runs New Japan. So like, it just sounds like he's gonna cut his hair and then we'll just see him on screen. When we see him on screen helping out the company. So awesome.
He's still gonna be at the press conferences and everything. I assume there will be references to him. He still sits like ringside for all the shows, all the big shows at least, and stuff like that. So Tanahashi's not going anywhere as the New Japan president. And an amazing career and one of the most legendary wrestlers of all time, maybe the most legendary wrestler in New Japan, because he kind of saved that company with when it was during the down period and he started to rise and like make his run and everything. Like they needed someone like him, and that's why he's the ace of the universe. And I don't know if that can be like overstated, like how important he was to New Japan and how important like his run and his rise and his title reign was to New Japan. It was great. I thought everything about it was perfect. The only knock on it was the Nakamura not being there. That's not something I can hold against Tanahashi or New Japan because I don't think that was their call. I think that was a WWE call because, as you mentioned, Nakamura said he did everything in his power to be there, and he wasn't. So draw your own conclusions there.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope it. I can't say I hope. Well, I don't know how to word this. If Nakamura wanted to be there and New Japan wanted him to be there, which we have to assume, and obviously Tanahashi wanted him to be there, what's the one part of that equation that would have blocked this from happening? And it's like, whatever that issue is, I hope they figure out going forward because there could be a big benefit to, playing nice. With little things like this that mean a lot to like legendary wrestlers and stuff, like really important figureheads, people who Tanahashi runs New Japan basically, like, whatever his title is, president, technically. I don't know what his actual technical title is.
It's
but like, you kind of just did him dirty and you did Nakamura dirty literally for no reason. Like, it wasn't like Nakamura didn't do anything noteworthy on like WWE television during that time, did he? Where you would have had to have not.
So he hasn't been on television. So this is the thing is like he hasn't really been on television, but he did do a backstage segment with Tama Tonga. I shouldn't say he hasn't been on television. He did do like a 6-man tag with Sammy before Survivor Series. He's been kind of on and off. It's unfair to say like he hasn't been there the entire time. Like he's been kind of on and off television. But he did do a backstage segment on Friday's SmackDown, which was probably unnecessary. If the show did not have that, the show would not have been missing too much.
I saw a quick clip of that when I was searching social media. It looked like literally it's something they could have taped whenever they wanted to.
Yeah. It wasn't something that was super necessary for the show. And it's like, why did you need to do this when he could have just gone to Japan and been part of the ceremony?
Oh, well. Too bad, But Nakamura's the man also. I love me some Shinsuke Nakamura. I hope they do something with him in the WWE before it's too late. By too late, I mean he's not getting any younger either. I mean he can't be too much. I don't know how old he is in comparison to Tanahashi, but they're of like that same generation. So, Anyway, congratulations to Tanahashi on obviously an absolutely legendary career.
The other spotlight goes to New Japan as well, as Yota Tsuji. As you mentioned, he defeated Konosuke Takeshita to win the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And then the following night at New Year Dash, he brought back the IWGP, the V4 Heavyweight Championship, which is a very nice looking championship and probably should have never been done away with in the first place. And now they have recognized the title lineage of the championship. So anybody who was the World Heavyweight Champion is now recognized as the Heavyweight Champion. And Tsuji said that he will defend this title against the wrestlers in Japan who have earned it, and it will only be the main event. And then he will still have the global title, which that's the title he will defend against kind of like outsider people. So he made a very clear distinction when it comes to that. What were your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, Tsuji winning the championship, you know, we've been doing this show now for like 4 years, I think. And at least the last 2 Wrestle Kingdoms, we've been talking about Yota Tsuji winning the championship. And I know that New Japan operates like this. You know, there's been many wrestlers where it took a very long time, and it seemed like almost like too long, but sometimes it panned out, you know. But I mean, so I'm happy he won, you know, and like, you know, it was a great match, obviously, and you know, him winning with the Boston Crab, that's like one of my favorite submission holds. You know, obviously I'm a big Jericho mark.
This was a young lion move here.
Yeah, but I mean, I just, you know. But anyway, it was a sick. I mean, you guys want to talk about Jericho? How Jericho didn't show up? Oh, actually, we are going to talk about that because we're talking about CM Punk, and that kind of ties in. We'll wait on that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it was inevitable, right? Like Yota Tsuji was going to be their guy at some point. I feel like it took maybe a little longer than it should have, but at the same time, like we're at where we're at, and it was smart to bring back, you know, the actual IWGP Heavyweight Championship with that lineage that they have now. It makes it. I like to, you know, I know that you just explained the meaning of the global championship, him holding both, like how he's going to defend that outside, which I mean, at least that makes sense. And at least they've like explained that. I don't think it's necessary, like totally necessary to do that. He could just defend the IWGP championship around the world and like obviously just not lose it to anybody outside of New Japan. But yeah, they can do what they want to do as far as the double champion thing. But it's cool how they now finally like recognize like you know, he's the champion and they connect that lineage to like the original title and everything again. So yeah, good stuff. All small New Japan's part.
I'm glad that they brought it back. That title was very ugly, the World Heavyweight title. So just the heavyweight title looks very nice, and it feels like a reset for New Japan, which they've needed. And this past year was not their greatest year. It was largely built around Tanahashi's retirement, which fair, and they did a good job when it came to that. But the title scene in New Japan for the last year has been a little bit rough because it was, you know, Zack Sabre Jr., and then it went to Goto, and then back to Zack, and then to Takeshita. And like Takeshita didn't really defend the title at all because he was doing AEW stuff. Zack and Goto are like fine, but Zack's a gaijin, and he's not on the level of like a Will Ospreay or a Kenny Omega or an AJ Styles. And Goto, everyone was happy for Goto to win the title, but Goto, he's a little bit longer in the tooth and everything. He wasn't a guy that wasn't going to carry the company forward or anything like that. So it felt like just kind of a transitional year for New Japan. And now you have Tsuji, who he's a guy that is the future of the company, and he's a guy that with Tanahashi now retired, he's a guy that can maybe, I don't want to say he's going to take Tanahashi's place, but he's clearly being positioned as like the new ace of the company. And this is a good start to his era, bringing back this title, establishing ground rules for the title. So I'm looking forward to his overall run, and I think he's going to have it for a while, honestly.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be good to see him have a good long title run for his first title reign. That'd be sick. I just, by the way, noticed your tag on here, Trade Young. Obviously, he was traded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want him traded again?
No, just his name is now Trade Young. I guess it could be traded.
Oh, I thought it was like you demanding that they trade
No.
Trey Young. Yeah. I'm glad that the Hawks. I mean, it's not that I like dislike him like personally or anything like that, but like it just wasn't working out with the Hawks. I live in Atlanta. I've been to quite a few of the games. I think that it was time, but they got fleeced though. Like Atlanta got like nothing in return for him.
Well, they got cap space effectively.
Well, there you
this
go.
this is where now this is technically another topic. This is where I don't know what Trey Young's trade value was. I truly don't. I don't think it was great, because if it was, then there would have been a better offer out there. He's a guy who puts up good numbers, hasn't led to winning in a while, is currently injured. The Hawks have played really well without him, and he's got his flaws. He's got his limitations, especially defensively. So what was out there to really get? Now, I think they should have gotten at least some type of first, second round pick out of this, but they largely wanted cap flexibility. CJ McCollum's a good veteran to have around. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. That's off the books. Corey Kispert's like a fine backup wing who can knock down threes. Like, okay, they're reportedly going after Anthony Davis. If they kind of flip this stuff into Anthony Davis, then because you're not going to be able to get Anthony Davis if you had Trey Young, because the money isn't going to work.
Right.
Now you have open money to potentially get Anthony Davis, or if CJ McCollum, when he comes off the books this year, what if they use that free agency money and they sign one really good player or two good players that fit the identity of the team? Like, that's a possibility as well. It does seem underwhelming overall. It's like, wait, you got old CJ McCollum and pretty much finished product Corey Kispert. That's it. But this feels like an addition by subtraction trade for them.
That makes sense. So I didn't know, like, that second layer of it that you just explained about that, how it positions them with the cap, and I had no idea that they were even interested in Anthony Davis. So, but yeah. Anyway, I just noticed that on your thing. I was like, that has to be about Trey. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got, I guess, for the New Japan topics. The other spotlight that we don't have to talk about, but I just wanted to throw it out there. I saw a great match on, I can't remember what AAA event it was. It was really recent though. It was like right around Christmas. But there was a triple threat match. It was Rado Kid versus Javon Evans versus Jack Carwheel. Yeah. And obviously we've had Jack Carwheel on the show multiple times. That I thought that match was awesome. Like, I would just recommend anybody who maybe hasn't seen Jack Cartwheel. Obviously, more and more people are familiar with Javon Evans now, obviously. And Laredo Kid's been very good for a long time, and just kind of like breaking out even more now as, what is it, the middleweight championship? Is that what they call that one?
I think it was the cruiserweight championship.
What, I can't remember what they technically call that belt.
I'm pretty sure it's the cruiserweight championship.
But anyway, yeah, it was a great match. I loved it. A lot of great high spots, and on a card full of lucha action, it stood out for me. So I thought it was really good, and people should check it out.
Yeah, that was the AAA show. It was just before Christmas. The name of it escapes my mind right now, but yeah, that was headlined by Dominic and El Grande Americano against Rey Mysterio and Rey Fenix. It was supposed to be Penta, but Penta got hurt and wasn't able to be in the match. But yeah, that was a good AAA show. It's on the YouTube if people want to check it out.
Yeah, it's sick. It's free on like WWE, of course. They upload like a English version an English version on like their channel, and then like AAA uploads the Spanish version. Like, so you also have options on commentary, all for free, which is actually pretty sick. So,
all right, let's go to AEW.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. It was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
It's been a little bit, and there's been a couple notable things that have happened, but two things very notable that happened at World's End. One, MJF winning back the Triple B and starting the Reign of Terror 2, defeating Hangman Page, Samoa Joe, and Swerve Strickland in a 4-way match to regain the AEW Championship. What are your thoughts, Jensen?
So I'm sure you remember, and I think you agreed at the time too, when we were kind of doing our predictions, or this match had been announced. It had to have been like one of the last times we did the show before coming back today. I had said that I think MJF, because I think we had an episode like right after MJF announced that he was going to cash in his title shot. And at that time, I think we both said MJF, it looks like he'll probably win this match, because like you look like a doofus if you cash in a 4-way match, and then like someone else winds up getting pinned or submitted, and like you just wasted your. I mean, and Christian looked like a doofus when he unsuccessfully cashed in also, but like, you know, in my honest opinion, Christian shouldn't have been the AEW World Champion at the time. I know you love Christian. I like Christian as well, but I don't think. Who does?
Tony Khan.
Yeah, Tony Khan loves Christian as well. Everyone seems to love Christian. But yeah, I just thought it made sense for, and also like, I don't know why you necessarily, I guess you can make the, I guess put like a reason together as to like why it makes sense that Samoa Joe had the short title run, like why he beat, because like that's what sets up the 4-way, right? Because like otherwise you're in a situation where like if Samoa Joe is not involved, and of course Samoa Joe is the one who took the pinfall after the Heat Seeker, like, you know what I mean? Because otherwise you would have MJF versus Hangman 1-on-1, or like a combination of them and Swerve, and like Samoa Joe is not involved. But those are matches those are big money matches for AEW that on their own. Like you want to have MJF versus Hangman and MJF versus Swerve, but like you wouldn't want to do it right now. You'd want to like build to that stuff. And you also probably for a long time, they've probably wanted to put the AEW World Championship back on Max, but like obviously he's been busy with movies and all that kind of other stuff he's been doing. So like I think that, so like that's my whole point is like I think ultimately the way they did it wound up being smart in the long run, because the way that Samoa Joe beat Hangman Page for the title, Hangman had an immediate reason for an immediate title shot to get revenge. Swerve is also obviously involved in that mix too. And like Samoa Joe beating Hangman to get that championship puts him in that position where he can be the one to lose to MJF. So MJF gets the championship without Swerve or Hangman losing in the process. So I know that might have sounded convoluted and confusing. I feel like Charlie from Always Sunny with like the thing in the background, like smoking the cigarette, Pepe Sylvia. But that's, if people followed along with what I'm getting at, it's, you know, because the big question for me was like, damn, because I like Samoa Joe a lot. I know you do too. And I like the Ops as well. And I like the Ops. I mean, part of it is like, I'm a big mark for Shibata. Like, and I just think it's like cool. He's like involved in that. And I obviously Joe is the man. Hobbs, I don't think has ever like totally fit in with them, but like he does, but like he seemed like he was almost like a last second replacement because Hook was injured like one time, and then now Hook's back, but Hook's not a part of the trios champions, but the other 3 guys are champions. He's just kind of like there, kind of like feuding with Hangman still. So I get like it's not the best scenario for everybody, but anyway, my point is it was like, damn, Samoa Joe won the championship. That's actually pretty sick. Like I didn't expect that to happen. damn, he's already not the champion again. Like within like a few weeks or like a few months, it's like, oh man, he already lost the title, and he was kind of only the champion, so he could lose the championship to MJF at the end of the day. But the history books will show 2-time world champion Samoa Joe, and now also 2-time world champion MJF.
Yeah, Joe was clearly just a transitional champion to go to MJF because they wanted to effectively protect Hangman in that manner, which makes some sense. I like that MJF has a laundry list of challengers already, like coming after the title. You've got Hangman, you've got Swerve, you've got Joe. Bandito's getting his title shot next week. Kenny has made it clear he wants to go after the title. So I like that they've already set up some good challengers for MJF. I hope that this reign does not get as long and dragged out as the last reign did by the end of it. And it was like, okay, we need to be done with this. I think MJF has been relatively good since he's come back. Yeah, there's some of the promo stuff has been I don't know about that. But the last couple of weeks, his promos, yeah. But the last couple of weeks, his promos have been good. I thought the segment last night was a good segment with Bandito, and MJF, he's gonna be tasked with carrying the company for the first part of the year, and he's probably gonna face Kenny at Revolution. That's a big match. I'm looking forward to the build on that and how it goes, and we'll see if we will see if how they build that. And I don't think that MJF is going to lose the title to Kenny or anything, although I would be opposed to it.
Okay, I'm glad you also reminded me, because we saw something happen last night on Dynamite that I found to be absolutely despicable. This might come off as controversial. I legitimately have no idea if there's been any kind of online discourse about this. There should be. I rarely ever get heated about this kind of stuff to this degree. Like this, it actually offends me. Last night, cover your ears, earmuffs for any kids out there. I'm just gonna forewarn you. I'm about to drop a big F-bomb. That fucking 21 plex, dude. It is like, dude, you got it. Okay. Like, I've talked about it forever on this show. Like, I think that move, it looks cool visually. Like, I would use it as like a super finisher. Like, I think Bandito should have like a finishing move, but like a few times a year, he's got to whip out the 21 plex when like it's the right place, right time. Someone just happens to be crawling up the ropes in that exact position, and it's like, oh, I got you. Like, I'm going to do the 21 plex. You got to like grab the ropes, throw it back, and like wait. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a specific, corny setup. And to do it 3 times in a row or whatever it was last night, where Bandito was going from person to person to person, who were just grabbing it. And I mean, you might as well just be standing there twerking and waiting for it. You're literally hunched over, holding the ropes, like looking back and waiting. It's so dumb. And I know that like people could compare it to like the 619 or something. There's like a variety of moves people do, from like people getting hung up in the ropes. And also Rey Mysterio is doing it in a way where it's like, he's like, you're getting caught in the ropes. Like it's a bit more believable. The 21 plex, everyone who takes it has to literally get in a just very specific position that you would never do any other move in, and just wait for it and hope, and honestly just pray that Bandito doesn't, like, not that he screws it up often, but like so much can go wrong in that move too. But you're just sitting there just waiting for it. You're like, hope he does the front handspring right. Hope he hits the ropes right. Hope he German suplexes me right. Hope he doesn't there was one dude who got launched last night. Got launched out on the tournament.
John Cruz.
I think that's who. I can't remember. Somebody got launched good on the 21 plex last night, on the German suplex. But anyway, I just got to throw that out there. Obviously, Bandito is a fantastic wrestler, is a fantastic athlete. I get it. ROH World Champion, he's I get it, but like it's a move that already bothers me. But then like it's especially jarring when I see it hit back to back to back to back times, and it's just like, I don't know. I just think it's really, really corny.
I think there's a right in a wrong way on the setup with that. Like the match against Beast Mortos, I think he took it well because he's selling and then he's using the ropes to get up, and then Bandito times it well of when he hits it. And then there are others, and last night being an example, MJF just kind of like stood there and held the ropes and looked kind of dorkish for how long the setup actually was. It's definitely a move that you got to have the proper setup and the proper timing for, and if you don't, then it could come off looking not so great.
Yeah, and like last night, it literally came off as like me next. Like, yeah, I was just like, oh, dude, this is weird. But no, you're right. Like, that's what I was saying a minute ago. Like, there is a way where it makes sense when like you beat someone down and they're like crawling up the ropes, like you said with Mortos. By the way, Beast Mortos is the man. I mean, or whatever you want to call him. He's the beast. But I mean, he was the man as by Caruso as well. Like, it doesn't surprise me to know that he, did a perfect setup into it because he does everything great. If that guy wasn't dressed as what he's dressed as, he'd probably be like a humongous star. I honestly think the whole thing's just like massively holding him back, if I'm being completely honest. There's something about like the gimmick that like obviously is eye-catching and makes him different and stand out, but like that guy's such a good wrestler. And then like I just think there was a ceiling to being Taurus with that helmet mask thing. And kind of similar with Mortos, but he's so good in the ring. That's awesome. But yeah, I'm with you. If you set it up correctly and it's almost like he happens to be in the right spot, I'm gonna go for it. That's different than like what you were talking about with MJF, where you're just sitting there waiting for it. But yeah. Anyway, I expect MJF to defeat Bandito. I've also thought it was very weird. I know it's all kind of coming together now with Bandito and MJF battling for the diamond ring, but it was very strange how at no point like during the process of Bandito winning the diamond ring did they mention MJF or anything about him having this thing for like 6 years. Like it was, you figured that they would have had a big payoff for whoever beat him for that ring eventually after all these years, but they didn't, so that was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I thought that MJF was going to ask Bandito to put the ring on the line. Instead, he would just like ask for the ring and it was like, and in return, I'll give you a title shot 5 or 6 years from now. It's like, he's already got the title shot next week. I know he's just healing it up, and so I get it. But I was surprised that there wasn't like an actual offer of like, put the title on or put the ring on the line. Like if you're not like a coward and everything, basically just kind of bait him into it, and then maybe Bandito says, well, okay, well, I'll do that, you put this on the line and we go from there. Let's put the scarf on the line. I don't know, put John Cruz on the line.
That's a good idea though. Like that actually would make total sense, because then it's not the John Cruz part, the putting the ring on the line in exchange for a title shot, because you also then should just have MJF retain over Bandito and MJF has the diamond ring again. Like
that's what I thought.
Of his gimmick. Yeah,
that's what I thought they were setting up here. And maybe they set it up on Collision to where the diamond ring ends up on the line. We shall see on that. But I thought that's what they were setting up. I mean, he's already got the title shot, so that's why MJF like has to give up something else. It's not like MJF could say like, I'll give you a title shot if you put the ring on. Like he's already got the title shot, so Bandito doesn't need to do that. So yeah, that's why MJF would have to put something else online, or just call Bandito a coward enough, and Bandito is just like, all right, fine, I'll do this. I'm not a coward. I'll prove to you, and we'll do this. And again, maybe they set that up on Collision. The other big kind of thing coming out of World's End was Jon Moxley winning the Continental Classic. When the Continental Classic started, coming off of Moxley tapping out at Full Gear and having kind of a rough few months, or tapping out a lot over the past few months, people thought that Jon Moxley might go like 0-6 or 0-5 in the Continental Classic, that like he was just going to continue, like the downfall of Jon Moxley was just, that was going to be a story of this. And instead it was the kind of rebuilding of Jon Moxley, the redemption of Jon Moxley, and he won the Continental title. It is a split championship, as I tried to tell everybody from the beginning, but he is the Continental champion.
Yeah. that whole split title thing is a whole other conversation in itself, and you already know how I feel about the title situations in AEW with them just having too many belts. We currently have an international champion and a national champion in the same company right now as we speak, and the international champion just lost the Continental Championship, which makes the unified title obsolete until somebody potentially reunifies those two championships to once again create a unified title. But is it really unified when you also have a TNT champion and a national champion also in the same company defending titles of very similar, if not equal value? I don't know. Those are questions for Tony Khan and his team to find out and figure out themselves over time. I mean, the international championship itself, it was what, the All Atlantic Championship, then it became the
international
after that. It was just the two names for that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not too bad, I guess. So we're in the I like that national title defended internationally. Yeah, that's exactly, but not the international title. Make sure to keep that on Okada, even though he lost. So yeah. So anyway, that's a whole other thing in itself. But I think that Moxley winning was a surprise. I didn't expect that. Even on the night of the pay-per-view, I didn't expect him to be the one winning at the end. And then on top of that, he cuts a total babyface promo after winning. So they're in a very interesting spot with the Death Riders, because there's been that feeling for a while now that the Death Riders are going to turn on Moxley and maybe appoint, whoever they go with as their next leader, whether it's Claudio or Pac or whoever, or, they just do the thing where it's like, there's no leader really. It's just, we lead ourselves or whatever. I don't know. Marina maybe takes over, who knows? But they, it's an interesting dynamic now, because Moxley's a clear babyface, and he's like, now he's like defending the title, and like he shook Shelton Benjamin's hand last night after their match. Like, he's doing babyface things. And he was even doing babyface things throughout the tournament. Like, he was cutting promos that were like on YouTube and like in between matches and stuff, where he would talk about like just how much the competition means to him, and like the love of the sport, and like especially after he lost clean to Claudio in one of the matches during the tournament, he really put over Claudio as like he did what he needed to do against him to get the win, and like he respects him for it. And like if any Death Rider is winning, then like the whole team is winning. So like, it was a very babyface turn, which is very interesting, right? Because like we went from the top heel in the company that needed to be like in a blood feud with Darby Allin and tap out to the Scorpion Deathlock and Glass, to now like, and I'm not saying it hasn't worked. Mox is over as a babyface. Like it has worked, but now what are they going to do? How long before the rest of the group turns on him, or are the Death Riders going to slowly all become babyfaces, which I think is a little less likely, but it's possible, depending on, because they have other heel teams, heel factions in the company, like the Ops, for instance, that they could feud with. So there's options out there. Yeah. Anyway, I wasn't expecting Mox to win, but then when he did, it was like I wasn't mad about it. I've always liked Jon Moxley. I've always liked him a lot. I think he's honestly like almost like a dying breed of pro wrestler in a lot of ways. He's very old school in a way that like a lot of the new generation just isn't going to have the opportunity to be. Especially the way like Moxley came up on the indies, like pre his AEW run and everything, like how gritty and like the stuff he had to do to get noticed back then and stuff. I mean, like he paid his dues more than most probably. And anyway, so good for Jon Moxley. I guess I think I expect him just to go out there and just have banger matches with everybody. I guess that's really the purpose of him winning the championship and doing this, which he's done previously with other championship belts as well. It's just kind of what he does. So you have any idea? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I mean, he might have a really long title reign, but like, do you think that this is a vehicle at some point to where like, like Claudio or Pac or like someone like one of those guys is who's gonna like one of like the Death Riders will eventually like beat him for the championship, or any idea?
So
like that?
I kind of think Claudio should sort of step to him a little bit, because Claudio beat him in the tournament, and think that should be a rematch. I also think there's a possibility of Pac kind of going after it. Pac was in the tournament, and Pac is now facing Darby. If he beats Darby, then he looks at Moxley of like, okay, this guy beat you. Like, why are you the leader? Okay, sure, you won the tournament, but this was the guy who had been we terrorized for a year, and then he terrorized us, and you couldn't get rid of him. I got rid of him. I do think this eventually leads to Moxley being effectively jumped out of the Death Riders, and because they're still heels, they're feuding with the conglomeration, they're feuding with Darby. It's just Moxley is kind of baby facing right now, and at some point, like, that's gotta come to a head. And they probably gotta do it sooner rather than later, because the mixed messaging can be confusing for fans. But I think that's how this all ends, is they finally are just, something causes a clash, and it could be Darby, and it could be Pac beating Darby, and Pac looking at Moxley sideways, or Claudio looking at Moxley sideways of like, I beat you in that tournament. I should get the title shot. And then maybe Moxley wins and they still jump him out after that because they don't like how things are gone. Who knows? They have possibilities here. But I do think the split's coming sooner rather than later.
Richard Cranium in the chat says Gabe Kidd eventually going to be the leader. Just wait. I mean, that's possible. I thought about him too. Currently, they label him as what, like a mercenary or whatever, like not like an official member, but he basically is. So yeah, to be completely honest, people probably hate this idea. I'm probably the only one who likes it. I would love it if Wheeler Yuta somehow became the leader. I think that'd be incredible. Like, because he's been under Jon Moxley's tutelage since the Blackpool Combat Club days. He's been right there learning this whole time. And like, if he somehow could take control of that group, like, I think that'd be so huge for him after all these years of them trying to, have him involved in this, like finally try to pay this off with like him making a big step, up the card like that. I think he's always been great in the ring, and I've always been a fan of his. I know there's a lot of people that don't like him or think he's lame or think he doesn't fit in or whatever, but like I'd be all for a big move like that for Wheeler Yuta personally. So
I wouldn't be mad if they do that with Wheeler Yuta, because he's just kind of been in the same spot since joining the Death Riders, even going back to when it was Danielson as part of the group. Like, he's always been kind of third, fourth pecking order, takes the majority of the losses and and that's it. Like, he doesn't get up.
Well, but he helps. When I say he helped them retain the title a ton though, like during Moxley's reign, like he was the decider getting in there and causing the interference. Yeah,
sure, but that's lackey stuff of, I'm gonna help you win this, keep the title. That's what Solo Sikoa was doing in the Bloodline until finally Solo Sikoa actually faced Roman. That's what the Usos were doing until finally, like, they actually faced Roman. Yuta has been doing that and hasn't actually like had the kind of almost the final boss moment of like, oh, now I'm going to face Moxley. Like, it hasn't come to that yet, and he's been in this same spot for a while. And even with Solo, at least the Usos were winning tag team titles. At least Solo was presented as an enforcer and got like a victory over John Cena during this time. Wheeler Yuta is just, he's there. He's
pure champion.
Wheeler Yuta is just there. So I don't think I don't know what they see in Yuta. I think he can do a little bit more. Again, I'm not mad at like him actually getting elevated and getting an opportunity to kind of like be the leader on this. I don't know if it'll work. But maybe it's something you try. You give the guy the shot and see how it goes. Because I don't know if Claudio is like the great leader. I don't know if Pac is the great leader. And Pac and Claudio they're obviously great, like as far as wrestling goes, and Pac's an underrated promo, but they're not like the full-on future of things. Like they've been around for a while. They're at where they're at. They're established with everything. Like Yuta's only 29. Yuta's got like some time to really carry the ball for a little bit. But you're not going to know unless you actually give him that opportunity.
100%. So yeah, I'm all for it. Push Wheeler Yuta, make him the new leader of the Death Riders. Give him a big win over Moxley. The whole reason he got in to the Death Riders pretty much is because he had those like bloody wars against Moxley and like earned his respect years ago. And eventually you got to try to pay that off. So
yeah,
it's been a lot of years now. So I think it's time. So
yeah. All right. Anything else on AEW? I know that was 2 topics, but any other?
Oh, Andrade and Jake something. I can just touch on that real quick. Obviously, Andrade returned to AEW. Don't have to really elaborate on that. People know kind of what was going on. Well, people don't really know, but like we know that there was an issue and he was there and he wasn't. Now he's back. So, good to see him. And Jake something debuting in AEW and joining the Callis family. Normally, I would first off let me say I'm a big fan of Jake something. The first time I saw him wrestle, I believe was at Glory Pro back in probably like 2017 or 18 or something like that. And of course, I followed his run, multiple runs in Impact / TNA wrestling, and of course, did really good stuff in DPW, like one of like the top people like in the promotion's history of DPW Deadlock, of course. So, I'm a big fan. Like I've been wanting to see him get an opportunity on like the quote unquote next level for a long time now. I think the Callis family has more than enough members at this point. But when I saw Mark Davis standing next to Jake Doyle, now the former Jake something, I was like, oh, actually, like this is a tag team I didn't know I wanted, but this could be good. Like this kind of makes sense. And so far, I've liked what I've seen in like the small sample size we have of the two of them together. So, yeah, I just want to throw that out there too as something that was pretty big from this week that I thought was pretty cool. Andrade officially, I think he was like announced on, what show was it? He was like announced as an AEW star. Was it at Wrestle Kingdom?
New Japan. Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. So like everyone knew the cat was kind of out of the bag, but everyone obviously knew it's just a matter of time before he came back. But I know that Jake something had left TNA not that long ago. And of course, not that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, a lot of people didn't know that he left TNA because he was promoted for the AMC premiere. So it was not very well known that he was leaving TNA.
Okay. Well, I can't remember why I knew that, but I think I had known for a second. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You are right. I did see that floating around on social media where there is a graphic of him being promoted for the TNA on AMC. So you're definitely right about that. There was what was I going to say? There was something else I was going to mention about Jake something, I believe. It probably, if I think about it, I'll bring it back up. But yeah, I'm happy. Oh, sorry. What I was going to say is like, obviously I don't think like DPW would have prevented him from going anywhere while they were running or anything like that. But, the fact that company, I haven't been keeping up with it. Like they're for sure, like they're done or they're about to be done, right? Like they are.
Yeah. They have one more show in Japan.
Got it. So, that's really unfortunate because that was a fantastic independent promotion. A really good, almost like in between like the kind of like local indie scene and like a major promotion. But like, if Jake, obviously Jake's not going to be able to be doing that because it's not around, and like the timing just kind of was perfect, I guess, at the end of the day. Like he wrapped up with TNA, DPW ended, AEW's brought him right in, kind of, so good for him. He's deserved it for a long time to have a to be on a big promotion like that. I mean, not that TNA isn't big. Obviously, TNA is a very big promotion, but y'all know what I mean. This is a step up, obviously.
Yeah, I like him and Mark Davis in the tag team division as well. I think they could be a really strong tag team. And he wasn't given like a ton of opportunities in TNA. He was hurt for a stretch, which I don't think helped him. But he wasn't given a ton. And look, if you're in Don Callis' family, if nothing else, you're going to get television time. Whether you get a match every week or not, like you'll get television time. So there are worse spots to be in AEW than I know people like to make fun of. Oh, well, Don Callis has too many people. And those people get on TV though. They get consistent time to do what they can in the ring or in a backstage segment. So there are worse spots to be in AEW.
It's very true. I out loud said last night, I was watching the show with my buddy Mike. I was like, "Oh, dude, it's Lance Archer. Nice." Because like you never see him wrestle anymore. But like I've always liked Lance Archer, and they just really don't do anything with him. But he was out there. Was Trent out there? I feel like I haven't seen Trent in a while.
He was at Full Gear. He wrestled. He teamed with Rocky.
That's right.
Against Big Boom and QT.
That's right.
I think that might have been the last time I can kind of remember seeing him, though. I'm sure, the Christmas episodes all run together because they aired at like random times. And so, they aired it. They did air at random times. I watched them at random times as well. So a lot of that just blends together. And it was a lot of Continental Classic stuff anyway. So you wouldn't really necessarily see him for that stuff, but he's still part of the team in some capacity.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of his, and when I think of him, I of course think of Chuck Taylor, and we already talked about New Japan, but of course it was fun scrolling the timeline after Wrestle Kingdom and seeing the live tweets from Chuck Taylor. I've always found him to be absolutely hilarious. I think Chuck Taylor is like one of the funniest people in the history of wrestling. And I've watched they used to do shoot interviews, and he used to host shoot interviews, and I've consumed more Chuck Taylor like wrestling footage between like his matches and his interviews and being interviewed in the old skits he used to do on YouTube and stuff, and that you can't even find anymore. Like I've watched him more than most over the years because I just think he's so funny. But him live tweeting through Wrestle Kingdom I thought was funny as well. He does it every year, but it's funny.
All right, let's go to the indies, and then we'll close with AEW.
I'm going to give a big motherfucking shout out.
Give a big motherfucking shout out to Krule, who has regained the IWTV World Heavyweight Undisputed King of the World Championship. I don't know why their title name is so long, but it is.
Yeah. It's pretty accurate. Yeah, defeated Bear Bronson, who only had the title for like a few weeks.
Short champion, yeah.
Yeah, interesting move. It happened, I think, did the Krule one happen at Beyond Heavy Lies the Crown?
Yes.
Or was that when Bronson won? I couldn't remember if I got the shows confused.
Yeah, the Krule victory was Heavy Lies the Crown. Bronson was, I think that was on... I'll look it up, but it was a couple weeks before. It was on some type of Beyond special.
It was like Wrestling Open, one of their.
Yeah, it was a Wrestling Open, like one of their kind of special shows. It was a 3-way between Ryan Clancy, Marcus Mathers, and Bear Bronson.
That's right. Yeah, and Ryan Clancy's still in that mix. Like I've been seeing them like kind of going at each other all on social media. Bear, Clancy, and Krule. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting move because Krule has had technically multiple runs as IWTV champion, but like without getting too into the history, it would take forever to fully explain it. But like he was IWTV champion, got injured. There was like Matt Tremont became the like technical like new champion, and then Alec Price beat him for that championship, and then Krule came back with the title he never lost, and then like he technically unified it with the title that Alec Price had, and that's why the title history and everything seems so convoluted. And that was technically Krule's second run as IWTV champion, even though he never lost the championship to begin with. Very, very confusing to try to explain. But that said, Krule's technical second reign with the title was very long and very dominant, and was eventually ended by Marcus Mathers. But I think that I guess I'm kind of confused by it, to be honest, because I don't know, like Krule is doing more in GCW lately, which has been cool. And obviously he's been a big part of MLW. I did, and obviously I like Krule a lot. We've had him on this show. Like I think he's a really cool guy, and obviously like he's a big dude. He's a monster. I think he honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing he hasn't ever been on like AEW or WWE television, to be completely honest. Very talented guy and very, very, very big, can do everything. But, so I can't give him enough credit. I'm obviously a huge fan. I don't know. I just don't know why they went back to him as the champion when like Bear Bronson just won it. Bear Bronson's been on a real hot streak himself, winning like NGI and, just been really killing it lately everywhere, whether it's a quote unquote normal match or a death match or whatever. And him and Ryan Clancy had a feud going on that involved the title. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I wonder if Bear wasn't long for the title because he's going to be featured more on TNA, and they weren't going to have the title on a guy who's probably, especially with this AMC deal, and they start to potentially bring in some talent. I mean, he just challenged for the title. He challenged Frankie Kazarian for the title last week's episode. And it seems like he's going to be utilized a little bit more. And I wonder if they were like, okay, well, he's not going to be here long anyway. Let's get the title on someone who will probably be here a little bit more. Now, Bear will probably still do indies because like Macklin still does indies, and a lot of TNA guys still do indies. But putting the IWTV title on a guy who isn't going to be, he may not be able to do some of these shows. He may not be able to wrestle on some of these IWTV shows. I feel like that might have played a part in this.
I mean, those are all really valid points. So that could very well be the case. And also, to be fair, like if you had plans for Bear Bronson, for instance, but Bear Bronson isn't going to be available, probably the closest type of wrestler you could get to him is Krule. You know what I mean? So you can almost like plug Krule in and be like, okay, well, we had this match set up, Bear Bronson versus so-and-so. Well, Krule versus that person would be really good too. Or whatever plans they have. I believe they're setting up Krule versus Gabby Forza, which also ties into Bear Bronson as well. But like, if maybe Gabby is going to be maybe the next IWTV champion, could be a big rub with Gabby, potentially beating Krule for that title, which I could see happening. So like, there could be multiple bigger picture reasons as to why Bronson lost and why Krule became the champion again. Kind of, in my opinion, it just kind of felt like it was out of nowhere. It was like we already had like the legendary run of Krule. I don't think they can really top that reign, nor should they go to him for the title for that long again. But if he's doing this as a vehicle to get the title once again onto Gabby, or maybe back onto Ryan Clancy, or whatever their next plan is, it could make sense. So I think you made really good points.
But hey, look, good on Krule. We're always happy to see Krule.
He's the man.
Yeah, he's great. Any other indie spotlights that you want to hit on?
No, because I know I'm going to have to elaborate a bit on some of these WWE ones we're about to get into. But no, the indie scene, we'll get cooking more on when more of these shows are back on a more regular basis now that the year is we're back in the new year and everything. So, and it's also going to be interesting seeing this whole like alliance between like West Coast Pro and Action Wrestling and Prestige and like all these companies that are kind of like working more and more together going forward this year too and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting year in the world of indie wrestling again, I think. So
all right, let's get into WWE.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
Matt Cardona is signed to WWE. I can't say he's back because he was never Matt Cardona outside of the NXT appearances. In WWE, he was Zack Ryder. They did the Zack Ryder. They did the Zack Ryder woo 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 at first, and then they went into the new Matt Cardona theme. He defeated Kit Wilson. He is officially back he's officially there in WWE. I know you're a big Cardona fan, Jensen. What did you think of this?
So I'm going to elaborate here on my thoughts on Cardona here in just a second. Before I forget to bring this up, this has to do with Kit Wilson, his opponent on the show. who I actually like. I think he's pretty entertaining, good on the microphone. Like I think he's still got like a lot of potential. Is Elton hurt? Like, is there a reason he's solo right now? Okay, gotcha. But I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I got to keep it real. I talked a lot of trash about the 21 plex earlier on this show. I think the worst move I've ever seen in the history of wrestling actually was performed by Kit Wilson in this match, where he did some sort of like twist of fate type move where he slammed himself into the ground, but it was supposed to be like a DDT. He needs to stop doing that move. That was terrible. Outside of that, great to see Matt Cardona back off, or technically debut, like you said. I know when he returned recently as Zack Ryder for that one-off match against LA Knight, that obviously he was pumped about it. The fans were pumped. It was really cool to see him back, especially in the John Cena tournament. Like, Zack Ryder has history with John Cena. Zack Ryder's gotten shout outs from John Cena. And so it was cool to see Zack Ryder back, but you knew, especially because like I follow the major bros. I watch a lot of their wrestling action figure content and stuff like that. And I watch a lot of, or listen to their podcasts, watch their YouTube stuff where it's like Cardona, Myers, and Smart Mark Sterling. They have a whole cast of people, but those like the main three. And they were all talking after Cardona debuted, kind of about the situation and everything. Or after he returned, rather. You could just kind of tell that, like, I'm not going to say Cardona was disappointed when he came back as Zack Ryder, because I don't think he was disappointed. But, like, he really wanted to prove a point and, like, be Matt Cardona, because, like, that's what he really built on the indies after being fired from the WWE 5 years ago or whatever it was. And, it was actually kind of funny, though, because I was listening to them talk about the Cardona debut just a couple days ago on their show. And it was funny because they were talking about, like, has anyone really done this before, where, like, they were a totally different character, then they left the company, and then, like, they reinvented themselves so much with, like, the way that, like, the merchandise and all the matches and working all these companies and blah, blah, blah. And, like, to go from, like, well, I totally different character, Zack Ryder, totally different name, and to come back. And I was shocked. I was like, did you forget about your best friend, Matt? Because you're describing Cody Rhodes right now, who definitely did do that. Stardust was a different character than Cody Rhodes, because we got to count Stardust here. He was Stardust when he was in WWE before he quit. And then the American Nightmare was a completely different thing than what WWE was presenting him as. So, yes, it has been done before by your best friend.
Wait.
But, sorry, go ahead. I'm not talking trash, by the way. I just thought it was funny because they're literally talking about drinking celebration drinks after the show in Cody's bus. And it's like, you didn't think that, like, he had also done this?
I feel like they were doing a bit.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't a bit. Like, I swear to you, it wasn't a bit. I watched it. If it was a bit, I would tell you.
No, I listened to this as well. I watched it as well. Like, because I wrote some articles off of it. So I feel like this was a bit. Like, they played it well, but it felt like this was a bit. I think Cardona knows that he's not, like, the first to do this. And as you mentioned, like, they were celebrating with Cody, and Chelsea was like, what the hell, we have to hit the road now. And
which is like, hilarious.
Took a shot.
I thought that was a funny part of the conversation too, how they're talking about, like, should we travel together or not? Because Chelsea's like trying to get me the hell out of there as fast as we can so we can get to the next town and the hotel or whatever. Okay, we'll agree to disagree. I don't think that they were being. Now, let me ask you: did you watch the YouTube video or listen to the audio?
I technically listened to the audio because here's how I do things. I had the YouTube video. That's what was playing for me, but I'm not actively watching it. I'm working on other things.
I understand what you're saying. You don't have to look at your keyboard while you're typing and stuff. I get that. But
no, it's not even that. Like, I'm just listening to other, because that wasn't something I transcribed. So, like, I'm listening, I'm listening to it. And then if there's a story that comes along, like, oh, I'm going to transcribe this, then I will actually watch the video and see it. But for this particular portion, no, I did not watch the video. I was technically only listening to the audio.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Well, I did think that obviously it was great to see, him return to the company, and also that it was his, invention, his recreation, and he worked his ass off on the indies. It would take me forever to go through all of what he accomplished, but the main things that he really did, in my opinion, on the indies, off the top of my head, at least, just kind of like in broad strokes here. Probably the best thing he did, biggest thing, smartest thing he did was accept that death match with Nick Gage in GCW, the match where he won the GCW championship. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, sure. But I'm not going to sit here and say like, and he probably said this as well. Like, I'm not advocating like everybody needs to go out there and do death matches to get over. Like, if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, I feel like you shouldn't be pressured into like feeling you have to do that kind of stuff. But like, he knew that like that, he could totally get people to think of him differently. Like if he didn't do something like that, he was just going to be like Zack Ryder on the indies, a guy who was kind of like a lower level. He had his moments, won the IC championship, stuff like that. But like, you guys know what I mean. He needed to do something big, and he did. And that win over Nick Gage for the GCW title was huge. And then the other thing that he did, obviously, is he worked like every indie, everywhere. I mean, he was one of the most active pro wrestlers in the world. That guy was going everywhere. And then he changed the game when it came to the action figure space. Those guys honestly set the market for some of these figure prices, to be completely honest. Like them buying and selling certain stuff because of the notoriety they have and the information and knowledge they have over the stuff and all the stuff they collect. Like they're very influential in like the action figure space. They have their own action figure lines, obviously. We've had Michael Kinnick on the show that works with the action or the major wrestling figure, like the action figure line that does like the bendies and the big rubber guys and all that kind of stuff. So, and also it's super cool because now, I know Cardona said this as well, but like now he's going to get his action figures back on the pegs at Walmart and Target and stuff, because they'll be back in the Mattel line. And stuff like that. He's getting Tops Now cards. I know Brian Myers is super jealous about that because Myers is a big trading card collector, and I don't want to say because he obviously he's real happy. They're best friends, and he's happy for his friend, and he's happy that Cardona is back in the WWE. But that was like the one biggest thing, I promise you, where he's the most jealous of anything he's doing is that Cardona's getting Tops Now cards now. Anyways, yeah, awesome to see. One with the, I don't know if he's still calling it the Rough Rider or what. I know he's not calling it the Sack Rider in WWE like Effie does. And ironically enough, Effie I see has been taking some of Cardona's bookings now that Cardona, and Effie himself has said, on social media that like nobody has done more for his career than Matt Cardona. That's the other thing that I think people really need to understand and really value is, look at the way that every single independent wrestler is talking about him. Like this guy came in and helped everybody however he could, even to someone like Mouse, who we've also had on the show, the father of Billy Starks, who is a pro wrestling photographer. He said on Twitter the other day about how he booked Cardona for a photo shoot a while back, and Cardona couldn't make it because of weather. And Cardona still honored the pay, even though Cardona never was even able to show up for the photos. He still gave the photographer the money he promised he would pay him because he wasn't able to make it, and he wanted to, do the guy right for his time. And it's like, it's for a guy like that, for a guy to be that humble and like to have that kind of mindset and just have his eye on the prize and know that like if he just does what he's doing, he might be able to get back to where he was and get back in the WWE, which is where he wanted to be. But even if he didn't, he was ultra successful on his own. So he was in a great spot either way. And yeah, really just to go from what he was, being just this kind of lower to mid card kind of WWE, Jersey Shore ripoff type character kind of guy that like, to go out and do what he did on the indies. And so many people on the indies never had that kind of run pre-independent scene, right? Either. So it's like this guy was in the WWE for like 10 years, could have had a big head about stuff, could have asked for more money, I'm sure, could have been a jerk, could have asked for his own locker rooms, could have totally approached this a completely different way after he got fired from the WWE. And instead he did the 180 opposite and almost approached it like he was brand new and he had accomplished nothing at that point in his career. And he needed a complete reset. And it more than paid off. Because now he's got the income streams from the WWE. He's got his own merchandise line still. He's got multiple businesses of his own that he owns separately from the WWE still. This guy has, incredible. Enough. I can't say enough good things. And he's also a guy who's been like really cool to fight for over the years too. Like, let's just be honest. Like, he's always been super cool. Like, he's nice to us. Like, when he wins Fightful awards, he actually seems appreciative. I got to do an article about him in the Fightful magazine where I sent him a whole bunch of questions and he answered all of them. Like, I got nothing. Matt Cardona absolutely deserves any success that he gets.
I think one thing that you mentioned that should be reiterated is look at how the rest of the independent scene reacted to him returning, getting signed, because it would have been like I know he kind of portrays a jerk on the independent scene, and I know maybe he could have rubbed people the wrong way coming there, being a guy who was in WWE for so long, and WWE at a young age really only knew WWE. He could have been, we see it all the time on the independent scene, right? Like, I'm bigger than this type of thing. Like, I'm here, I'm the reason that you guys are drawing this much. Like, I've been to the big show, I've been to WrestleMania, like, you guys gotta listen to me. And that's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way. And again, we've seen this before on the independent scene. Cardona could have easily been that type of person, and his persona on screen at times was that type of person. He at the GCW shows, he would have like the over the top WrestleMania type of entrances, at least as big as he could in those venues. But behind the scenes, you listen to anything that anyone has said about Cardona, and like we continue to learn after he got signed, all the top independent guys were like, no one has worked harder. No one has been more helpful. No one has kind of done more over the last 5 years when they maybe didn't need to. They could have coasted. They could have just taken the bookings, relied on their name, and that's it. But this guy didn't do that. He actually gave back, and he deserves this. And like, he not only gave back, but he gave back knowing that like the ultimate goal was still to get back to WWE. So he could have, again, very easily just been like, I'm only here until they call me back. I'm not going to be here very long. You guys, I don't really need you guys. I'm here though, so I'm going to make the most of it. But when I'm gone, I'm gone. You suckers have the best of luck once that happens. And he didn't do that. So yeah, the reaction from guys, from a lot of independent talent, from Steph DeLander, Joey Janela, Effie, Mouse, you mentioned a lot of these people, Brett Lauderdale, like the reaction from all of these really goes to show you like the kind of impact Cardona had on the independent scene.
100%. I mean, even like, I love Jimmy Lloyd, right? But like, if you looked at Jimmy Lloyd next to Matt Cardona, like those two human beings next to one another, right? And you're Matt Cardona and Brett Lauderdale's like, hey man, I need this kid you got to put this kid over, this kid right here. And like, you've never seen Jimmy Lloyd before. Matt Cardona could have so easily been like, I'm not doing that. Like, instead, he took Jimmy Lloyd under his wing for like an entire year and then lost clean to him in like a minute. You know what I mean? When like, and it was just awesome. Like, because like in what other timeline do you have a guy like Jimmy Lloyd beating a guy like Matt Cardona, coming out of that feud? Like, it's so cool. Cause like, just to be able to get an opportunity like that. Cause like I said, I love Jimmy Lloyd and I hope he's like a big star. And like, I love that he's, been one of the main faces of GCW for so long and stuff. But like, just the fact that somebody with like that kind of name, like Cardona, Mance Warner, another good example. Like, he took Mance Warner and was like, as you mentioned, SDL, of course, but like Mance, like I've always been a big fan of his as well. But like, I think his work with Cardona really put him on another level. Like that whole Deathmatch Royalty stable that they had, everyone that was involved in that, I think was massively benefited by being involved with Cardona. Cause it's not just the in-ring stuff. It's the, hey, after this match, let's all cut promos over here in the corner and we'll put them on social media and it's going to blow up. And then we're going to sell even more t-shirts. And then like, it's a whole trickle down. And guys like Jimmy Lloyd, for instance, got to really benefit from that, which I think is just super cool. It's just a great opportunity getting to mix it up there with like guys who had like big TV star careers and, against people that like are looking to eventually do that themselves.
Yeah, we'll see.
Awesome.
We'll see who, if anybody, can follow suit and follow what Cardona did on the independent scene. There's a lot of good talent out there, and they'll have new opportunities now because Cardona, he wasn't taking opportunities, obviously, but an opportunity has opened up because he's no longer going to be part of these cards.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know who's going to be able to fill those shoes to that level because he was working so many shows all over the place. But I hope somebody does. I think that'd be really cool.
The other WWE spotlight, I don't know I think I know where you're going, but I'm not totally sure. Maybe you want to talk about CM Punk's horror films?
No, so everything except for that. So anything related to what he talked about with like wrestling and like wrestling fan, really the main thing was really what he was kind of saying about fans being disappointed when like they fantasy book things and then they don't happen. That's kind of mainly what I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you want to like tee that up or explain kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so CM Punk did an interview with Robbie Fox of My Mom's Basement, and they were talking about Stranger Things and the Stranger Things finale and everything, and Punk said he liked it, and he said that like, a lot of people didn't like it because in his mind that they thought it was going to play out one way, and because it didn't, well, it's like, well, I don't like this. And he equated that to wrestling, where wrestling fans might think it plays out one way, they fantasy book one thing, and then that doesn't happen. It's like, well, this sucks because it didn't play out the way in my head I thought it was going to play out. And then that turned into a discussion about John Cena's last match and tapping out. Punk thought it was beautiful. Other people, both of us, thought they could have been done differently or better, in our mind, better. But that's kind of the crux of the conversation there between Punk and Robbie Fox. Yes,
and also it kind of ties in with like, now I have to preface this by saying I know nothing about Stranger Things. I've never seen 1 second of the show. All I could recognize is like there's like a couple of the kids that I've seen, throughout the years that I maybe recognize a couple of the actors. That's about it. I think that, the big comparison here, because like Punk was talking about like fans going to shows, like buying tickets to shows, and then like what, they feel like they were ripped off from their money when, something that they saw, his term was like wrestling journalist number 3,500, whatever, said this online. And I really wanted to make this a spotlight. First, it's also worth mentioning, of course, CM Punk did retain the championship over Braun Breaker. That's kind of a discussion in itself, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I understand why CM Punk's their champion. It makes sense. And Braun Breaker is going to get his time for sure. So it's inevitable. And I thought the match was really good, by the way. There was the big botch or whatever with the Frankensteiner, but like towards the end of the match especially, I thought it was a really, really good match. Both guys deserve a lot of credit. As far as the interview, I completely agree with everything CM Punk was saying. Like outside of the John Cena tapping thing, like which I just disagree with for my own reasons. Like like you said, I just think it could have been. I think it's really lame that the guy said his entire being was revolved around never give up, especially when it comes to like telling kids with cancer and stuff, like never give up, and then like at the end you just smile and give up. It was just very strange. But it is what it is. Some people like it and some people don't. Whatever. I saw John Cena wanted to go out. He deserves to go out however he wanted to. He earned that. But CM Punk's so right about this. And I've talked about it before. And it's also one of the main reasons I really don't use social media like at all anymore is there's no... Like, I get no benefit from knowing wrestling spoilers. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my job to. I mean, sorry. Let me back this up a little bit. When I did the Weekender, for 7 years or whatever, I did it over on Fightful Select. An aspect of my job was sometimes I would have to read spoilers for like TNA or something like that. But as a wrestling fan, stuff that I want to watch as a fan, I don't want to know what's going to happen before it happens. Like, that's not fun for me at all. When I was younger, it was kind of fun, like reading the dirt sheets and being in the know and being like a smart mark wrestling fan back when it felt like no one else was a pro wrestling fan. It was like, that was a whole different time and I had a different mindset about it. But wrestling fans do this way too often, and Punk's just 1,000% right about it. And this has to do with the Jericho thing as well. Like, people thought Jericho was going to return on Monday. They got it stuck in their heads that he was going to return. They tuned in, myself included. I tuned into Raw, hoping maybe he would show up. But I didn't work myself into a shoot the way that so many wrestling fans do with stuff like that, whether it be that or anything else. There's pretty much any wrestling fan, literally any wrestling fan, in their own mind has some sort of idea about like a wrestler that they like or a wrestler that they want pushed, or this happens or this doesn't happen or whatever. This could have been better. That could have been better. This shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't happen. But at the end of the day, like, what happens is what happened on the screen. That's the reality of what happened is and for people to spend so much of their time getting upset about that and arguing over that, CM Punk called it a mental illness. I really don't disagree with that. I don't want to sit here and like diagnose people, obviously, but like there is a level of like parasocial weirdness about that to me, where it's like I see a lot of people, I'm not going to name names, that literally are on Twitter from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep, and it's just tweeting all fucking day complaining about wrestling. And it's the lamest shit in the world to me. So I can only imagine how CM Punk feels about it, dealing with it for the last, 20 plus years of his career, and how long he's been on social media. Because he really doesn't go out there and post a lot either, but he's always aware. Like, CM Punk hasn't tweeted in years. I guarantee you he still vanity searches his name often just to see what people are saying about him on Twitter, just to have a pulse on kind of what the thought is out there or what the ideas out there are. So I just wanted to say that. I know I've had my issues and differences with Phil Brooks over the years and whatnot, but like the older I get and the more that he's kind of being a good Samaritan in WWE and, not causing problems with people and has these kind of interviews, the more that I agree with him about certain stuff, and appreciate kind of the stuff he is saying. Like maybe I'm just getting old also, which is very possible, but there's just such a big difference to me between being someone like, if you're like watching the show, for instance, that's super cool to me. Like, you're hanging out, we're just talking about wrestling. Everyone in the chat's cool, just throwing ideas out there about wrestling. Like, this is healthy. We're just discussing wrestling, having a good time. We're not arguing with one another, mother effing each other, like getting at each other's throats, banning people from the chat who disagree with us. You know what I mean? We're just hanging out talking about wrestling. Like, it's just a fun thing to do. For me, it's just a fun thing at this point, just to do in my spare time when I get off work once a week. I'm just fortunate, and I love talking to you about wrestling. I think this is awesome, but it'd be totally different if you just saw me tweeting all day about stuff I don't like about wrestling. It's pathetic. So I agree with CM Punk. I think people should take his advice on that when it comes to that.
I agree with the majority of what Punk says. I agree that fans work themselves too much into, oh, this is going to happen, and when this doesn't happen, then like they get mad, but like you were never told this was going to happen. Him taking shots at like dirt sheets and all that's okay. Like,
no, but he's not wrong about that. There are so many losers online that just put an idea out there onto the internet, and then a bunch of other losers like think it's the gospel all of a sudden, and then like when that doesn't happen, they get all butthurt over it. It's like, but that person you listen to you less than you.
Who are the first? Sure, but like, if he's talking about those people, I don't consider them, again, like dirt sheets. There are real reports that are out there that do come true. And then some of them don't come true. And then like people are mad about that. Again, that's their own fault. when it comes to that. Here's my thing. You mentioned Jericho. And yeah, there were reports that Jericho was going to show up on Monday. He didn't. Okay, I'm not mad about that. That's whatever. They did tease him. They did try to tell fans that, hey, this might happen. Adam Pearce, this was not a Stranger Things reference. Adam Pearce saying break down the walls, that was a Chris Jericho reference. Corey Graves saying learning tree, come on. They know what they're doing when it comes to that. And so I don't think they have a right to be like, oh, well, you shouldn't complain. We didn't blatantly advertise Chris Jericho. Sure, AEW didn't blatantly advertise CM Punk to return at the United Center. But if CM Punk didn't show up at that show, a lot of people would have been fucking pissed off. So don't drop these like little hints and these little Easter eggs of like, oh, break the walls down, crack the code, learning tree, list, and then the guy doesn't show up. That's them hyping their own fan base and then not delivering on it. That's way different than a report or some random person saying, I think Chris Jericho is going to show up.
Okay, two things. First, did any reputable wrestling reporter outlet or any news site or whatever that you consider credible report that Chris Jericho is going to be on there on Monday? Like a report that was like, Jericho will be there Monday.
I don't remember.
Reports. Or sources say you'll be there Monday.
I don't remember which site put that out there. But to me, like if it's not coming from Sean, then I'm not putting a ton of stock into it anyway.
That's how I personally feel about it. But we have friends and other people who work for other sites and stuff that like, I don't want to say that they're not credible, but I'm just saying like, that's okay. So we agree there. But Cody returned. How many weeks in a row was it them teasing, saying stuff that sounded like it was going to be Cody, but like it was weeks before he showed up at WrestleMania? They never said, tune in on Raw. Cody's coming back, but they would be like, all roads lead to WrestleMania, and they would spell it RHODES. And so, but eventually, like Jericho's coming, like he's for sure coming.
Maybe
it's probably.
Maybe.
I'm even more. I said 100% sure when you asked me months ago. I'm even more sure now. If the Royal Rumble is right around the corner, there is a lot of room. There's a lot of places, and there's also, I guess, the possibility of him debuting in TNA. I think it's a lot slimmer of a chance. But, dude, there's no way that they're dropping all these references for Jericho and he's not making his return to the WWE. It's for sure happening. And people get upset they didn't show up on Monday. This is what it is. It was showing up. He doesn't show up Monday.
I would not be like, break down the walls and then have him not show up. Sure, they teased Cody Rhodes, but they also teased Cody Rhodes as a Seth Rollins as a mystery partner. It's like, oh, okay. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Adam Pearce blatantly saying who will break the walls down on Monday's Raw is a very hint of like, oh shit, Chris Jericho might be here. Don't do that if he's not going to show up. Yeah, they said all roads lead to WrestleMania. That tells me that Cody Rhodes is at WrestleMania. Not all roads lead to the main event of Monday Night's Raw. That tells me that, oh shit, maybe Cody will show up on Raw tonight.
Well, even if we talk specifically just about Chris Jericho, and I even talk about Cody, which, you know, if we even don't want to use that as an example, we can use Chris Jericho as his own example. Every time Jericho has made a return to WWE, what happens? Hint videos, little blurb, quick videos. Though code is the answer is the code. This and that. The world is ending, blah, blah, blah. And it would go on for weeks. Little hints. A little countdown clock before he even debuted for the first time. Went on for maybe months even.
You're making my point for me.
But my point is he eventually showed up. But no one ever said, because I saw this countdown clock tonight on Raw, he's showing up tonight on... Well, I guess... The countdown clock might
the countdown clock's the countdown clock.
You knew when it was ending. You knew when the clock was ending. Okay, that's. But listen, the code breaker thing. The answer is the code. The code is the answer thing. When he came back for Orton, when he clotheslined him when he was carrying the torch, he wasn't advertised for that specific Raw until like everyone knew it was eventually going to happen. But it was weeks of teases and hints and stuff. That's always been Jericho's thing. It doesn't surprise me at all that they're peppering in random Jericho references, getting people. Literally, what we're doing right now is it's working. Another thing is, like, you don't think WWE,
But that's not true, though. That's not true, because the viewership continues to decline. Like, they're running off fans, and they're running off fans by doing things like this. They haven't been top 10 in Netflix on the viewership in weeks now. Like, they're not like, oh, the same people are going to tune in. Sure, they have a core audience, but they're also losing fans. They lose fans every single week. You don't think this plays a part in why they're losing fans? Sure, they used to do vignettes when it comes to Jericho. The countdown clock, that's a terrible example. I'm sorry, because it's a countdown clock. You know when it's going to be.
You knew when he was coming. Okay, that's yes. Fair. My point was more so the teases, like the consistent teases before he returned or debuted. But yes,
sure, but you're doing that on your television show, running vignettes to potentially whenever it's going to happen. You're doing this shit on social media. You're doing this shit to effectively pop the fans or tease the fans that CM Punk is talking about, the ones that work themselves into a shoot over this. Now, do I think they should do it? No, but I don't think WWE should blatantly feed into it in this way and then be like, well, you guys are stupid because you're the ones who fell for this. If you're going to call those fans stupid, no wonder they're not watching. No wonder they're like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't care about this show anymore.
I'd be interested. I'm not saying you're wrong. I would just be personally very interested to speak to a longtime wrestling fan that quit watching wrestling because Chris Jericho didn't show up on Monday.
It's not just that, though. It's not just, this one little thing. It's accumulation of a lot of things. It's like when Triple H got booed at John Cena's retirement. They didn't boo because John Cena lost and tapped out. That was part of it, but they booed because the entire run sucked, because it should have been so much better than it was. That's why he specifically got booed. Like, all right, he tapped out. I think most people knew John Cena made the decision that he made for his final match. And you got to respect that, or you don't. But, I think most people knew that was John Cena's decision. So why boo Triple H over a decision John Cena wanted to do? Well, it's because it wasn't about that one specific decision. It was about, why the fuck's this guy losing to Brock Lesnar? Why is he losing his last PLE match? Why is he doing this heel turn that went nowhere? Why is he doing this stuff with Travis Scott and The Rock and R-Truth? Why is he doing all this? Like, that's what they were booing. I don't think one person specifically is tuning out because, like, I thought Chris Jericho was going to be here and he wasn't. But when you add that into kind of a boring product right now, honestly, when you add that into a boring product, when you add it into the last year with the John Cena stuff, when you add it into just stories not going anywhere, like, how long have some of these feuds lasted in the company? When you add it into, we're getting excited for this guy, and then, never mind, he's just off television, or he's not going to win the championship that you want him to win. We're not going to do the match that you think we should do. How many times has that happened over the years? You get so excited over one match, or you think that one certain moment is coming. Chad Gable winning the Intercontinental title, for example. You think that, and then it just never does. Like, it all adds up. And Chris Jericho, it is something that just continues to add up for people. Again, there's raw evidence of them losing fans every single week.
I believe it. I believe you. I'm just saying, and also I'm coming from the perspective of, like, I'm not watching every single minute of every single Raw myself anyway. So it kind of proves the point also. But I think wrestling fans need to chill out a little bit.
Sure. Like, again, I agree with CM Punk. If you're going to, oh man, I'm so mad Roman Reigns didn't win the title here, and then you have some whatever you do, and then, I don't know, people act very weird about that stuff. They're like you when Cody lost the title. Or when Cody.
That's a very specific reason in person, but yes, that was a
People get mad about the fantasy booking stuff. Honestly, Cody is a good example because it did seem like that was more than fantasy booking. That was like, okay, Cody's going to do it. This is what we're telling you Cody is going to do it. And then he doesn't do it. Fortunately, they did it the next year, thankfully, because he got over and he actually outmaneuvered The Rock on all that stuff because it was looking not so good for a while. But yeah, people get mad if you're going to fantasy book things and like, oh, well, here's a very low level example. Blake Monroe is reportedly going to get called up. It seems kind of obvious based on the television that she's going to get called up as well. If she doesn't show up on Friday, I don't think you can get mad at anybody that she doesn't show up on Friday because no one said she's going to show up on Friday. Now, if Nick Aldis does a fucking video tomorrow and goes, Friday Night SmackDown's going to get glamorous tonight, and then Blake Monroe doesn't show up, yeah, I think you can get a little bit mad over that.
Can you get mad over Veer not coming for so long?
It's just a vignette. Like, if they're doing vignettes on their television show, they didn't say when he was going to come. It's just, okay, he's going to come. Then it became a funny bit, and I pissed off Jim Cornette with a headline. So, like, that's whatever. It serves no purpose, though, to me, if you can't deliver on it. Again, I will go to the AEW example. They did the United Center thing. They did all of the teases. Imagine if they did, and people talked about this. Mind you, we may have talked about this, but people, I think this is before we did the show, but people talked about this. Oh, what if MJF comes out? What if Cult of Personality hits and MJF comes out and they don't actually have CM Punk? Yeah, you piss off the fans there and it gets a big booze in the arena and everything. Fans stop watching at that point. You have said CM Punk is going to be here in not so many words, and then CM Punk was not there. If he was not there, they are not watching at that. Why are you doing who will break the walls down? Oh, he's sitting under the learning tree. Why are you making these references if they're not going to be there? Now, if you want to tease it for down the road of like, one day someone will break the walls down. Hey, one day someone will sit under the learning. Fine. Then it's not explicit. This was explicit on Monday's Raw. Who will break the walls down? And then they tried to bullshit you with Mike Johnson saying it's a Stranger Things reference. Fuck off with that, because Adam Pearce is backstage and there's a Demogorgon in front of him and he's like, what the hell is this thing? Adam Pearce, I don't think, has watched 2 seconds of Stranger Things to know, one, that there's not multiple walls in the show. It's one wall to the upside down, and he's saying break down the walls as a plural. Adam Pearce doesn't know this shit. This is not a Stranger Things reference. This is a we're gonna try to look smart and we're gonna tease Chris Jericho and we're gonna get the fans all excited, and then he's not there. Well, we never said he was gonna be there. We never said, hey guys, Chris Jericho is gonna show up on this show. You guys fell for it. It's your fault that you thought he was gonna be here and then he didn't show up. That's on you. Fuck off.
I mean, I kind of fell for it, if I'm being honest, because I rarely ever watch Raw, and I did watch Raw on Monday because I was hoping Jericho was going to show up.
You're an idiot that they love to cater to.
Yeah, I'm just not that mad about it because I know he's going to show up.
Look, I don't think you should be super mad. I know I'm very I feel angry here. I'm mainly angry at you for dismissing everything and the way you're trying to frame this. Like, I'm not mad that Jericho didn't show up, but I do understand the fans that are mad about it, and I do sympathize with those fans because I think they have a point. As I said, I also agree with CM Punk that the fans who like fantasy book things that are not explicitly or blatantly advertised, those fans who put it in their head that this is there might be a fan out there like, I think MJF might show up on this. The Jon Moxley stuff, okay? It's like, oh, Jon Moxley might show. I'm so mad. They never hinted at Jon Moxley. They never pretended like Jon Moxley was going to show up. any of that. If you talked yourself into Jon Moxley showing up, that is on you. But if WWE is going to explicitly hint at things and not deliver, that is on them.
Hey, you got some good points there, Jeremy. I took it more as just like they're dropping hints because like he's coming back and they're just teasing it, but they knew what they were doing obviously, and they did troll people, and the people who got trolled got really upset about it. But yeah, we'll see.
I don't think your wrestling company should troll your audience of like, ha ha ha, we got you. Like, again, this is how you lose viewers. This is an easy connection. This is such an easy connection.
I guess I could be that upset that I stopped watching because they did that, and like, man, the John Cena thing. I understand what you're saying. There's probably some fans out there that there's a accumulation of booking decisions and broken promises and things that they don't like that, you know, Triple H, since he's taken over. I mean, you could even say WWE in general, whatever, you know. They then like Jericho might be the straw that broke the camel's back for some people, and they got really upset about it.
There's full evidence that they're losing viewers. It's there.
But that's not surprising. Yeah, it's not surprising to me.
Right. Well, don't do stuff like this, and it'll help your cause a little bit.
Jericho's going to come back, and those ratings are going to spike. They really should get Cody on the show. I don't know what they're doing.
For a week, the ratings will be better. I have no doubt about that. And then it'll be like, all right, cool. We saw Chris Jericho. The product still isn't great right now. Let's move on.
Speaking of moving on, I have one very quick final topic. It's very, very quick. WWE related. Another interview that also dropped was Cody Rhodes related, and he interviewed Finn Balor. Thought that was a really great interview. I listened to the first half on Spotify yesterday, and then I saw the YouTube video drop today, so I watched the second half on YouTube. And yeah, Finn Balor smokes buds, confirmed. So that's a good for him.
That's not surprising, honestly.
No, it's not, dude, look at him. Like, that guy is one of the happiest looking, just eyes half closed, just smiling. That guy's smile, he got a great smile. Just always looks like he's cheesing. I mean, to be fair, I would assume that the majority of the locker room probably smokes weed or uses THC to some degree. No, I just thought I just threw that out there. I thought the actual interview was really good. Balor goes into, Cody does a really good job giving him his flowers on like what he accomplished by starting the Bullet Club and all the trickle down from that and what it's done for the wrestling industry. Thought it was interesting hearing Balor's perspective on the Demon character versus kind of his original vision for like doing the body paint in New Japan and stuff. So I'd recommend people checking that interview out. I've always really, really liked Finn Balor, and I feel like he's still in the grand scheme of things like underutilized in the WWE, but like I'm not really mad about it because he's like consistently involved, and the Judgment Day has had this longevity and stuff. So like, and he gets the team with JD, who he trained and he's known forever and stuff. So it's like, Balor's the man. And I just thought it was a great interview because you really don't get to hear him. He doesn't really do interviews like that really ever. Or at least it's been a long time since he has. So yeah, I would recommend checking that out. But I thought it was funny because the first kind of like weed reference in the interview, he was talking about how it was just really interesting how he's explaining it, but it makes total sense about how he was going to be booked against Mr. Iguana, and he had never wrestled Mr. Iguana before. So, usually because he's in the WWE, he's been there for so long, he knows his opponents, he knows their moves, and like he's worked with these people a bunch of times and stuff. He didn't know anything about Mr. Iguana other than like what he looked like, I think. And he had never really seen much of his work. So on 420 one day, he looked up Mr. Iguana, which is of course a weed reference. So basically Balor toked, put on YouTube while he was baked, watched Mr. Iguana, and then came up with the Demonito puppet idea. He saw that with this main thing. He thought, I was like, I need to get a puppet. And then at the very end, Cody was talking about smoking cigars during his incline walks. And Balor was just like, I smoke weed while I train. And that was the end of that made like all these headlines. You probably wrote headlines about that.
Andrew Thompson covered that.
Okay.
Interview, but
Shout out to
I
Andrew.
did see it.
Great
Yeah,
dude.
the GOAT.
But yeah, so I would just, that's not really so much the spotlight as it's like, if people haven't seen that interview, I can't recommend it enough. Once again, Matt Balor's the man, and hearing the way Cody really puts him over throughout the interview, I think was really cool too. So check out that interview. Also, Kevin Owens puts him over as like the best human being ever in like a text message. So really, really, really cool interview. It's like an hour long too. It wasn't like too long.
It's the last day that Cody Rhodes will be the WWE Undisputed Champion. He's set to lose the title to Drew McIntyre tomorrow in the 3 Stages of Hell match. How are you feeling about that, Jensen?
Oh, I forgot we got a super special secret last spotlight, I guess. What are the stipulations? It's a singles match and then like a hardcore match and then a cage match. Is that what it was?
And street fight, no DQ, whatever you want to call it.
And then a cage match is third.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, y'all know my prediction and who I think is going to win. But I will say, I love Drew McIntyre's character. Like, if it was him versus anyone else, I'm always saying that about Drew. Like, his heel work is great. Him burning the picture, I mean, even the way that like they set up the 3 Stages of Hell match, and of course like the home invasion and everything that they did or whatever. But like, I think Drew on the microphone has been just like on fire, and Cody's obviously my favorite wrestler, so it's pretty much my 2 favorite WWE wrestlers going at it. But of course, I'm gonna take Cody. I never go against Cody, and Cody will be the WWE champion once again heading into WrestleMania. I'm not against Drew McIntyre becoming the champion. I want to make that clear. Like, if they have a gun to their head and they're like, we have to get the title off Cody, even if it's short term, who is the one person that you would choose instead of Cody? I would take it'd be Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean? So like, I love the dude, but like, I just wish he was on the other show still, like going after the other title. Like, make him the champion that instead of Punk. Give him Punk's title. I'm totally all about that, but. Yeah, I got to go with Cody Rhodes to retain.
If Drew loses, he may as well.
It makes him look like such a loser. I know, I get it. It makes him seem like such a loser who like just has had enough chances. I get it.
He should just go to NXT. He should just be like, well, here I am because I can't cut it on the main roster anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunately kind of the position they are putting him in. If, I'd be more upset about that than Jericho not showing up, just to be honest. Like, if I was a WWE fan, like, I'd be looking at, like, the McIntyre thing. If I was a McIntyre fan, especially if I didn't like Cody, I'd be like, why are you doing this guy so dirty? Like, how many opportunities is he going to fail at when, like, he clearly should be the champion? Like, at least on one of you got 2 world titles. He should be the champion, at least one of them by now, with all the opportunities he's had. And I'm not going to count when he won the title, then got screwed out of it right away by Punk and that kind of stuff. Like, an actual legitimate run at the top as the top guy, he definitely deserves it. And I feel similar. I think LA Knight's kind of getting in that boat as well, where they're going to need to pull the trigger on him sometime as well before fans really start revolting that have been behind him, that they're never really paying that off. I think they eventually will. He's still involved in the Vision thing. Like, they beat him up and eventually they'll come back and get revenge on them, I'm sure. But so I understand. Like, I get that I'm very biased and I'm in a position where like I'm just ride or die for Cody Rhodes, and I have my reasons for that, and I think very legitimate reasons. But if I was on the other side of this, and once again, especially if I didn't like Cody or I thought he was getting stale or whatever, too white meat, babyface, whatever it was, if I was a McIntyre fan on top of that, yeah, I'd be getting really frustrated that he keeps losing in these big matches and isn't really getting the ball. Makes sense. But Cody's retaining.
We'll see. The show airs at 2:00 tomorrow. If you want to watch it if you have a VPN and
like, y'all think you're making a title change on a random SmackDown at 2:00 a few weeks before the Royal Rumble, a couple months before WrestleMania? Like, that's not.
I can put it back on Cody. It's not like he loses it forever if he loses it. I'm not opposed to Cody getting. I fully expect him to get it back by WrestleMania. I do. It just feels like if you're going to put Drew in this position, he should probably win at some point, because otherwise,
Yeah.
what are you doing? They just don't put Drew in this position. If this is somebody else,
that's my argument. Exactly.
I'm fine with it. But
sorry, you froze for a second. I that's 100%. Like it's the company putting Drew, because you could easily keep him in a spot where he is, if he's not the champion, he could still be like the top heel without the title, winning the majority of his feuds against everyone except for the champion. Like you could totally do that and keep him at that level. Before we go, it's kind of early predictions, but like my guess is that he will be the champion going into WrestleMania. Whether he loses it and wins it back, I think he'll be the champion. I think Roman Reigns will probably win the Royal Rumble. That seems pretty obvious. It's probably where they're headed. Do you think that's probably where things are going? They've kind of teased they're going to do Roman and Cody again. I'm not necessarily saying that they should, but that seems like what they're going to do.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess Roman and Cody is what it's going to be. Roman and Cody is fine. Like there's good history there. I get it. I think there's other opportunities to do other things. I'd rather Roman and Punk, honestly. I want to see a proper feud between them. I'd rather Braun beat Cody. I think that's a bigger statement than beating Punk, but that's just me.
Yeah, there's definitely some different ways they can go with it. Personally, I want to see Cody versus Punk for the WWE Championship. Like if they wanted to take the world title, like if Punk lost the world title, for instance, to like Braun Breaker or somebody else before WrestleMania, and then Punk won the Elimination Chamber, which I think is in Chicago.
Yeah.
So like he wins the Chamber match, and then he challenges Cody at WrestleMania or something, and then maybe Braun Breaker wins the Royal Rumble and someone else wins the World Championship. I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways they can go. I think a lot of it's going to also have to do with Seth Rollins' availability, because like if he's back, that totally changes the dynamic, because he's obviously going to be involved with Braun Breaker and also probably CM Punk. So you might do a triple threat there, or maybe CM Punk's the odd man out, so you move him over to Cody. But then what do you do with Roman? But Roman's got the history with Seth. You can always go back to that in one way, shape, or form. So like there's a lot of options, but all roads lead to Cody Rhodes being the champion heading into WrestleMania.
Cody Rhodes is going to break down the walls at WrestleMania.
So my two favorite wrestlers of all time back in the same company together after all these years. Yeah. Great stuff.
Anything else?
No, that's it. We've already gone long and didn't even have a guest today, but we had a lot to talk about, y'all. We've been off for a few weeks, so appreciate everyone who trucked along here with us throughout the show. Everyone who is anyone who sent super chats, we really appreciate that a lot. And anyone who was just a part of the chat at all, whether you watched and you lurked and didn't put any comments, we appreciate you too. Whether you watch on demand later on Fightful on Fightful Overbooked. You can, we appreciate your views, whether you're here live with us or watching after the fact. Thank you very much for, spending your time choosing, to watch the show and listen to us talk about pro wrestling. And next week, most likely I'll book someone to come on the show. We'll get some sort of guest, catch up with someone, get someone new. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's going on next week. But that's all I've got, man.
Where can they find you at until then, Jensen?
On X at Fight Talk _. That's pretty much it. Viking season's over, so I can't really keep plugging that. Yeah. Good luck to the Carolina Panthers. I hope that they win on Saturday, and I hope they make a real run. I'm pulling for them, man. So can't no more school Vikings. But what do the Panthers have? Do they have like a chant? They have
keep pounding.
That's right. Of course, that's right. Yeah.
Do you have a Super Bowl prediction? Let's get it on record here before the first round.
Oh man, I'd have to look at I obviously know like the best teams, but I haven't seen NFL playoff bracket. Sorry, y'all. I'll get it pulled up here.
I need to catch you off guard with this.
Oh no, it's okay. I can make a quick prediction. So, let's Gotta look to see who plays who, because after the Vikings got eliminated, I didn't see what the actual matchups were for some of these. So I'm going to be very biased towards the Panthers, but then it's going to be tough to go against the Seahawks. Although, man, Sam Darnold doesn't. I know from firsthand experience how he can choke in big games, and he really hasn't played that great. But like the team has, he's played like he's done what he's needed to do for the team to get wins. Like, don't get me wrong, but he isn't playing like that great in like one bad game. Like, I think the Panthers could honestly like keep sliding by if the right things happen. But
you have too much faith in them.
But it's also but listen, it's such a weird playoff because so many like the big teams, aren't in this year. Like, it's kind of wide open.
I'm gonna give you mine.
Go for it.
I'm going Patriots and Rams. That's my Super Bowl prediction.
So you got your squad losing on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm going to take...
I think the Rams are good. Stafford's got the experience. I know they kind of slipped a little bit at the end, and their defense is kind of questionable, but I think Stafford can will them to some victories, and Sean McVay's a great coach, and I think their defense will be just good enough to hold on while the offense does its thing. And I like the Patriots. I think the AFC feels pretty wide open. I know people are kind of looking at the Bills because of Josh Allen. I think their defense is terrible. I know people are looking at the Broncos have home field, so they got a shot there with that. I like the Patriots. I don't know. I believe in Drake May. I believe in the overall team that they have. It does feel very wide open. I don't have a great favorite of this. I could very much easily see it come down to any of these teams. And I'd be like, yeah, you know what? That actually makes sense. Like, I think people are writing off the Eagles a little bit too much. Like, they're the defending champions, and their roster hasn't had that much turnover from last year. Like, when they're on the field, for the most part, they're good. I know the vibes are kind of off with that team overall. But if the goal is a championship, like, you're only a few steps away from doing that. You got to set things aside to potentially do that. I think people are writing off the Eagles a little bit too much. Again, it's wide open.
Yeah, I'm going to go with – I agree with all that, by the way. I'm going to go with the Patriots getting in there for the same reasons. And they're only going to keep getting better. Like, Drake May is already playing incredible. They got a great team. And they put up points. Like, they get down the field and score touchdowns. So I'll take the Patriots against – I'm actually going to, even though they're the number 6 seed, I'm going to say that Brock Purdy keeps it going. He's been playing pretty lights out. I think that the 49ers make a run here in the playoffs. And of course, McCaffrey at any point can take a game over. So, like, I'm going to say 49ers versus Patriots. And I'm actually going to take the – yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say – it's a tough one to pick, but like I'm actually going to go with. I think I'm going to take the 49ers and win the whole thing. It wouldn't surprise me for the Patriots to do it. I think the Patriots, honestly, on paper, should be the favorites. I know they're not the technical 1 seeds, but like I think Patriots should. I think on paper have the best team based on what they've done, best squad, ready to win right now. But yeah, I'm actually taking the 49ers and kind of like a sleeper pick.
Okay, I'm not mad at the 49ers. Like, Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. Brock Purdy's been there. I know people like to dismiss him, but I think he's a good quarterback. Their defense is very banged up. If Fred Warner gets back, then I think that's a game changer for them. Their offense is they're just banged up altogether. It's a very banged up team, and that's where I'm a little bit like, I don't know with them. They've played a lot of hard football over the past few weeks, like just trying to get the 1 seed and everything. And that's where I'm a little hesitant on the 49ers. Like, they look just completely gassed against the Seahawks this past week for the number 1 seed in the NFC, and that has me a little bit hesitant. But I do think Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. They've been there. They were just there in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, so none of these teams would honestly surprise me. I can't look at any of these teams and be like, oh man, the Panthers might be the only one, honestly. I'm just like, yeah, I don't think this team's like that great. But because I don't think any of these teams are that great, maybe catch enough breaks, they get there. Not banking on it.
Yeah.
Not banking on it.
Exactly. There's a lot of, like we said, there's a lot of powerhouse teams like the Chiefs, obviously, and the Ravens and stuff like that, normally are in it, in the thick of it. They're not even in the playoffs this year. So it really feels like LA Knight would say it's anyone's game. Whose game is it? And also Ace Rules, I'll end on this. He asked, he says, Steven, are you going to do the TNA post show with Joel tonight? I don't know who's going to be doing that with him or what the schedule is for that. I'll be there though on after Genesis. I'll be there with Joel, and I think we're actually in a group chat. I don't know. I haven't talked to Kresta yet. I know sometimes she's there and sometimes she isn't with me and Joel, but the plan is the three of us. But if Kresta can't be there, it'll be me and Joel for the Genesis review. But that's where you'll see me next on like the Fightful main channel.
All right, folks. We'll be back next week. I will be back tomorrow. Oh, there's Joel. Yeah, it's
nice.
Joel's done solo for like the past few weeks now, as far as I know. Kresta doesn't show up anymore. I think she's only showing up I think she's only showing up if I show up, because we got to do a post show together at some point. The dumbest post show in the world with me and Kresta.
Hi, Joel. Good to see you. I saw you texted me or DM me during the show, so I will. But yes, I'm in for Genesis. I'll always be there for the pay-per-views, unless you guys tell me ahead of time you don't want me or need me or whatever. But I'll always plan on being there for the pay-per-views.
Yeah, Kresta got called up to the main roster with SmackDown and Collision. Just not slowing down on TNA anymore. Speaking of Joel, we will be back tomorrow in the weeds, 10 a.m. Eastern. It'll be a short episode tomorrow, sort of. It'll be a short live episode tomorrow. We have an hour-long interview with Eddie Kingston that'll air on tomorrow's episode of In the Weeds. So we recorded that on Monday. Yeah, Monday. We recorded that interview on Monday. It will air in its entirety tomorrow. Again, it's an hour long with Eddie Kingston. Very fun chat. So Joel and I will talk about something for an hour, not TNA. That's for sure. I saw that I was not picked for Mr. Elegance. That's bullshit. My submission video was way better than whatever this guy sent in. I promise you.
I didn't see who won or whatever, but I saw your thing a while back. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was great. I should have won. They picked some. I don't know who it is. It's a comedy bit. They picked like a guy who's like a little bit bigger and older, and it's like, haha, we can change him. Here's this fat balding dude who could be Mr. Elegance. So should have been me.
You don't sound salty over it at all. This fat loser.
I just want them to air the videos. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, you ask people to send in these videos, like, air them. Put them on your social channels. I don't care. I truly don't even care if, like, Joel said that they chose a fucking backstage stagehand who I've seen a billion times and he has a legit gig, but I can't remember what he does there. So there you go.
That's funny.
Yeah. Did Angelina Love, did TNA Hall of Famer Angelina Love endorse him? Did Tommy Dreamer endorse him? I don't think so. I guess Tommy Dreamer kind of did because that's who got picked. But bullshit.
Oh,
absolutely.
Speaking of, I gotta hit him up when the pre-orders start, but I saw that Angelina Love and Psycho Boy Fodder are getting some action figures finally. Oh, nice. I'm very excited for them. Yeah, I think the pre-orders, I want to say, are in February. I think there's maybe some prototype images or something out, but I can't remember who's putting them out, what line it is, but I think it's maybe the same line that recently did like the Cats figure and stuff potentially. But anyway, the figures look good, and they're definitely considered friends of the show. And the one thing I love more than anything when it comes to guests of this show, people might not know this. I'm sure you do, but if there's anyone we've ever interviewed on the show, if they have an action figure, I will get them to sign an action figure for me, and I put it in my collection. So I've been looking for. I haven't been able to do that for Angelina Love yet because her TNA figure has become so valuable because like it's just hard to find, especially mint on card. So I never got an Angelina Love signed figure, but now that her and Fodder will both have figures, I'm going to for sure try to get them to sign some stuff for me. Got some signed Sam Stackhouse stuff coming soon. Yeah, I try to support people who come on the show. That I'm such a collector that like why not collect stuff from people that have like been cool to us? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not a collector, and I don't want to support.
I know you're not.
Our show.
I've literally got a Bryan Danielson figure in my mailbox right now that I ordered a few days ago. It's his Ring of Honor limited edition figure when he's the American Dragon. You got it? You reaching for it?
No. I'm reaching for the one figure that I have, and it's the Orange Cassidy.
Fantastic figure. You can actually put his hands in his pockets. Yeah, those are great figures.
He's down. He's kind of sort of in his pocket there. Yeah, that's the
amazing figure.
Fell off. Yeah, I do like the Orange Cassidy figure, so I keep that by me. I got the older figures from generations past when I used to play with the wrestlers and everything. But nowadays, I don't do it. It costs too much money. Well, yeah, fair.
No.
Costs too much money. Costs too much money. Got too much kids. Can't be spending money on a bunch of wrestling figures that are just gonna sit in a box. All right, folks, we're gonna get out of here again tomorrow. In the weeds, Eddie Kingston, Joel. That's the thumbnail. Nothing else important is happening in wrestling. Let's promote this Eddie Kingston interview, folks. Thank you. We will talk to everybody later on.